Reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Hi, this is Clark Ivory with Ivory Homes. 2023 is turning out to be a great year for Ivory home buyers. Let me tell you why. The number of existing homes for sale is way down, so with fewer used homes to choose from, new home sales have soared. At Ivory Homes, we are creating all kinds of possibilities for you. A great selection of new homes ready for move-in, and fixed interest rates as low as 5.875%, saving you hundreds on your monthly payment. Check out Ivory Homes today.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Andy Farnsworth.
Amanda, we still have delays. I-15 coming over Point of the Mountain, but the worst of it's now between 106 South and the South Interchange, where some cement bags got dropped into traffic. Then they got hit, and now they're kind of spread across the right three lanes as you go up over 215. Still have slowdowns 21st South Freeway between Bangerter and 215. Looks good, though, coming south on I-15 from Roy all the way to downtown. You get a little bit of heavy traffic in North Salt Lake, but we still have a lot of slowing on 700 South Clearfield and Antelope Drive as you try to head east towards the freeway from the west side of I-15. Dracula returns, and yes, there are flying vampires live with the Ballet West Orchestra, October 20th through the 28th. Tickets at balletwest.org. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather now today is going to be cool and cloudy, but temperatures are going to rise as the week goes on. The week will get sunnier and temperatures move into the 70s with a high of 77 degrees on Sunday. Right now it's 52 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Does it feel like we woke up in another country? I'm watching Fox News and I'm seeing the graphic on the lower part of the screen, and House remains at standstill without a speaker.
Yeah, what in the world do you do now? We haven't seen this. This has never happened before, at least not in the last 100 years. I don't even think there's been a vote to vacate the speaker. But it happened. Speaker McCarthy is no longer there. He did not decide to resign. He's still going to serve in Congress, but he is no longer the speaker. It's 9:07. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are three things Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Well, amid all of the discussion about what in the world happens now back in D.C., there was this new report on Utah. It's called the New Utah. There's a new study showing that Utah is older than ever, has some pretty big issues to wrestle with going forward. There's a wider divide between the haves and the have-nots, and a big problem with a very important thing, like housing. We all need housing, and it is just so expensive. You know what we're sounding like? A little bit like a tiny California.
Oh, you bite your tongue. You bite your tongue.
Come on. We are the next California.
One of the problems with getting older, when do you make the most money? The older you get, the farther along in your career. So if the median age is moving up, that means you have more people in established careers who can afford to pay more for housing, for cars, for food, for gasoline. It doesn't affect the higher earners as much as the young kids, and that is a real problem.
Countdown. 2.
If the GOP was cracked, well, welcome to the Grand Canyon. Just seems like relationships back in D.C. are severed. How uncomfortable would it be today to be a member of the Republican Party back there right now? It's like, ooh, they have nowhere to go right now. GOP hasn't a clue as to who will replace House Speaker Kevin McCarthy after a shocking and historical coup that went down at the hands of 8 Republicans.
I made some comments to my colleagues back there. I said, okay, so what is the next step? Well, let's find a speaker. That's the next step. Well, who? Who is that person?
Who is that person? We don't know. But we know who it's not. And it's not Kevin McCarthy. What's very, very interesting about this chasm that you talk about, Debbie, the vast majority, 96% of Republicans were totally fine. Well, maybe not totally fine, but they were fine enough with Speaker McCarthy. But it was this small little contingent of 8 Republicans that changed everything.
Launch countdown.
And
1.
in that larger group of Republicans, the 96% stood Utah's Republican congressional delegation. They voted to protect Speaker McCarthy. Now they're railing on those 8 Republican colleagues who defected to the Democrat side to complete the mission of ousting McCarthy. Representative John Curtis saying this: Congress set a new low. Republicans turning on Republicans and Democrats standing around with lighter fluid and matches. Representative Blake Moore adding to Curtis's words right here on KSL News Radio.
Here's the thing. If it were done for substantive reasons, it would be one thing. But this small band of individuals, they've actually sabotaged the very thing they're complaining against. So they're complaining we didn't get 12 full appropriations bills done and out the door by the end of September, when they themselves actually were some of the biggest saboteurs of making it so that couldn't happen.
And we talked to former Representative Chris Stewart yesterday, and we asked him the same question. He no longer has a say in this. Said, would you have supported Speaker McCarthy? And he said, absolutely. He's the only guy that was getting anything done. But this small group of hard-right Republicans were absolutely had a blood feud with Speaker McCarthy, and they booted him.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The Launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Well, if there is a GOP rift back in the House, I do think it's now a canyon. What'd you call it? A crater? Just
Chasm.
A chasm. Oh, okay. It's definitely in the House with the ouster of Speaker McCarthy. I think it definitely also gums up the next week in the House. Fox is reporting that things are on hold until they are able to get to electing a speaker, and that could take, I think they're looking at next week. In a few minutes, we're going to take a deeper, in-depth look at what this will do to the deadline that is currently on the table that is facing all of America. Got to reach a budget agreement.
Yeah, it is a little chaotic now, but before we say, it all is ended and it will never work out, I think there's an argument to be made that there were enough Republicans that were so frustrated with Speaker McCarthy and how he works that nothing was going to get done with this speaker. Perhaps some new life, some new blood in there, even if he's very similar to Speaker McCarthy and how he works, a new person could move things along faster because at some point, these Republicans were never going to work with McCarthy again.
But there's 8 who put the Democrat vote. The Democrats all showed up there not to protect McCarthy.
Yes.
Every Democrat voted in favor of the motion to vacate. In other words, their vote was going to fire McCarthy if they could get enough Republicans. And 8 Republicans, including Matt Gaetz, who led this charge, end up defecting over to the Democrat side. And I wondered, who are these 8 and what kind of rift did they have with McCarthy? How bad was it? And among them, Republican Tim Burchett. He's from Tennessee. He says he turned on his friend, called him a friend, claims that he spoke to McCarthy before the vote and McCarthy mocked him over his approach to the decision. And his approach to this decision was prayer. He wouldn't elaborate about what McCarthy said, but here's what Burchett said about that.
It really doesn't matter. It was just the fact that I'd publicly stated on your station, I think this morning, that I was praying about it, and I was, I had 2 paths to go, either go with my friend or go with my conscience, and I was praying that God would tell me what to do, which he does.
And then South Carolina Congresswoman, also a Republican, who defected, voted with the Democrats to put them over that threshold to oust McCarthy. Her name is Nancy Mace. when asked why she turned on McCarthy, she hinted that it had something to do with women across the country and the fact that she's a female. And then she said, oh, it's also McCarthy's dishonesty.
From my perspective, as a woman up here, I want someone who's going to be honest. And if we say we're going to help women in this country, we ought to do it. If we say we're going to rein in spending, if we say we're going to have a budget, now we're going to disagree on the numbers, both sides will, but that's worthy of a debate. If we say we're going to have a budget, we need to do it. If we say we're going to have 12 separate spending bills and give the power of spending back to the people, we ought to do it. But that's not what happened here, and that's why we're in the situation today. If he were to continue to be Speaker, there would be chaos that would continue because he's not been honest with either party.
Now, I feel like this was a Republican version of the Hunger Games, a political version of the Hunger Games, where Matt Gaetz offers up Speaker McCarthy as tribute. He's got nowhere to run or hide, and then 8 Republicans defect, vote in alignment with the Democrats to oust McCarthy. However, Dave, you're coming at this from a much different point of view. You were saying all morning long on Utah's Morning News, this is the Democrats' fault.
Yeah, let's be completely and totally honest. The vast majority of this could have been avoided if just a handful, if just 8 or so, maybe even 5 Democrats had actually stood up and said, you know what? Kevin McCarthy is doing a fine job. He may not be of our party, but he's doing a fine job. Not one of them did that. I'll explain more why I think this was a complete and total betrayal of Kevin McCarthy by the Democrats.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Here's one part of life that doesn't need pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice has quite a powerful political lobby.
Breaking news and fall weather updates are all the spice you need. Start with Utah's Morning News with Tim and Amanda from 5 to 9.
Good morning.
Then Dave and Dujanovic, Boyd Matheson, and Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News as you drive home. News, analysis, variety. The spice of life.
So good.
On KSL News Radio.
People can tell you that you're special, but Hercules Credit Union puts words into action. Let Hercules Credit Union treat you extra special with this limited time special deal. Open a new checking account and Hercules Credit Union will upgrade you to a premier status checking account free of monthly fees. Get a Visa debit card with your new checking account and receive 25,000 rewards points. Feeling special yet? Open a Visa credit card at the same time and get another 25,000 rewards points. Good for ultimate identity theft protection. Travel benefits and perks? It means cellular care coverage against accidental damage. Hey, I'm not done yet. It means gas and grocery gift cards. And yeah, there's a lot more. Start at HerculesCU.com and learn how to qualify for a free premier checking account for a limited time. Because you are special. HerculesCU.com. Hercules Credit Union, growing stronger together. All accounts insured to $250,000 by NCUA.
Get a new car at a used car price during our surplus sale. I'm Josh Osborne with Volkswagen Southtown. We have huge discounts on all remaining 2023s.
Get up to $4,000 off the 23 Taos, $5,000 off the 23 Tiguan, $6,000 off the 23 Atlas, and up to $10,000 off the ID4 EV. Hurry in before we run out of 2023s.
Get our lowest prices of the year at Utah's #1 Volkswagen dealer. Visit VWSouthtown.com.
Claim based on 2022 plus VW retail reports. Financing through VCI OAC.
When words come out of our mouths and everything sounds fine, no one bats an eye. But if things come out a little jumbled or letters sound different than most, there's speech therapy. But did you know that speech therapy is used for more than just stuttering or disfluency? From articulation to expressive and receptive language to a simple act of swallowing that most of us take for granted, speech therapy can do amazing things for you, your health, and of course your sense of self. That's why Summit Speech Therapy is here. Summit Speech Therapy works with people of all ages, from infants and toddlers who have a difficult time feeding or eating, TBI, stroke, or coma patients, to children and adults with speech problems. So much of it is all related, and Summit Speech Therapy can help. Summit works with all insurance companies as well as private pay options, and the experience can be life-changing. With clinics up and down the Wasatch Front, including Murray, with no long waiting for an appointment. For more, visit SummitSLP.com. That's SummitSLP.com.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by two guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Introducing Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. We're bringing all of Utah's favorite HVAC, plumbing, and electrical brands under one roof. Your home's cooling system has been working hard all summer. Make sure your heating and cooling system continues to operate at peak efficiency by scheduling a $29 seasonal HVAC tune-up now with the pros at Yes. As the seasons change, you can count on Yes to help keep your family comfortable. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, several new names are being floated in Washington as potential candidates to become the next Speaker of the House. Second, Qualtrics is laying off 15% of its workforce as the new owners restructure. And third, 75,000 Kaiser Permanente employees officially went on strike this morning. Right now it's 52 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Republicans ate their own. It was a political version of the Hunger Games that unfolded in D.C. and resulted in the coup of Kevin McCarthy, no longer Speaker of the House. Here's Representative Matt Gaetz, a Republican who started the whole thing.
Because I forced these people to take a few votes, you think I'm paralyzing the House of Representatives? I think the House of Representatives has been paralyzed for the last several decades.
Matt Gaetz not taking the blame. And my own co-host, Dave Noriega, says, in fact, Democrats are to blame for this.
Well, you say that the GOP ate their own. I think the GOP maybe finished off the final bites of the meal, but Democrats ate the entire meal. They just left a few scraps, and the Republicans came in and they just nibbled at the edges. It was only 8 Republicans, folks. Let's be very, very clear about that. It was 208 Democrats and 8 Republicans. So I see this as an absolute betrayal of Kevin McCarthy by the Democrats.
And the Democrats are saying, it's your job, Republicans, to save your guy. He's your guy. He's the leader of your party. Here's Jamie Raskin.
Right-wing Republicans have to solve the problems that right-wing Republicans create. Okay, and so the civil war within the Republican Party has nothing to do with us. I voted 15 times for Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker, and I will vote 15,000 more times for Hakeem
Raskin,
Jeffries.
a Democrat, saying Republicans, work it out. This is your problem, not our problem. It's not our job to save your guy. He's your guy.
He's absolutely wrong because just like the President of the United States, he's our President of the United States. I'm sorry, Mr. Raskin, but he's your Speaker of the House, whether you voted for him or not.
Would you say that of Nancy Pelosi when
absolutely.
she was the Speaker of the House?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is how it is. We are all in this together, folks, whether you're in the same party or not. And that just spoke volumes to me about the fundamental problem with Congress.
Boyd Matheson shaking your head in favor of Dave Noriega. We've got Team Boyd and Team Dave. They're aligning once again.
Actually, let me give you just a slightly different perspective in terms of what Mr. Raskin just said. I actually agree with Mr. Raskin that he was correct. He's voted for Hakeem Jeffries 15 times. That is a vote for who you want to be Speaker. Yesterday's vote was not a vote for a Speaker. The vote was to remove the Speaker of the House. And so that's different. And the problem that everyone is having with this is everyone is looking at this through a zero-sum winner-take-all political lens. And that is not the job of the members of Congress. Their job is to govern. And so the move yesterday, yes, the Republicans lit the fire. The far-right Matt Gaetz, he lit it. He's responsible for it. But in the history book, it will say 208 Democrats and 8 Republicans voted to remove the Speaker of the House for the first time in our history. And so the question that didn't get asked yesterday was, what is best for the country? What's best for the people that we represent? The questions were all politics. And so, yes, the Democrats can say, yeah, Republicans, you got to sort it out. You got to figure out, you started this fire. You put it out. But that's politics. The thing I was most disappointed in yesterday was actually in the Problem Solvers Caucus. Problem Solvers Caucus is 32 Democrats, 32 Republicans who have done some amazing work to get really important legislation done. But yesterday they met early in the morning because they were built for a moment like yesterday, to step into the breach and say, we'll be the adults in the room and we'll do the right thing. But the Democrats showed up to the Problem Solvers Caucus yesterday and said, we can't do it. We have to be lockstep with our counterparts, the Democrats in the House. And so to me, of all the disappointments of yesterday, and trust me, for 4 hours we talked about it, and there are a lot to break down.
Yeah.
But that is one of the biggest ones, because if the Problem Solvers Caucus can't come together to move the business of the country forward for the good of the country, then we got bigger problems to deal with.
So we have most Republicans in the House voting in favor to keep McCarthy,
Right.
for lack of a more
210.
cohesive way to explain it. They voted to protect McCarthy.
Yeah.
If those 8 defect and they vote alongside the Democrats. Boyd, I want to play a clip from Troy Nehls. He's a Republican out of Texas. And here's what he said lies ahead.
I made some comments to my colleagues back there. I said, okay, so what is the next step? Well, let's find a speaker. That's the next step. Well, who? Who is that person? My humble opinion, there's 222 Republicans up there. There's 190 of them that are not moving away from Kevin McCarthy.
What lies ahead, and does the GOP have what it takes to mend fences? Because I'm wondering right now how uncomfy it must be back in the halls of Congress today.
Yeah, definitely uncomfy to be sure. And it will be a long process. I think they're going to have to navigate this out. I think that's why you're not seeing any votes scheduled until next week. They're giving everyone a chance to kind of exhale a little bit. You've got people like Jim Jordan who've already said, hey, I'm going to take a run at it. There'll be a number of those that will appear over the weekend. Then they'll meet on Tuesday. And they'll have their conference conversation. People will make their case, and then the voting will begin. And so it's going to take some time because, the person who had the most votes yesterday was Kevin McCarthy. He had 210 out of the Republicans. He got 210 votes. That he should be the guy. And so I think it's an interesting thing in terms of that divide and that breach. And going back to the comment from the representative, this is my biggest issue with the Matt Gaetz of the world. It's one thing to light things on fire. It's another thing to just criticize and say, oh, well, he did this or she did that. But have you heard anything from Matt Gaetz? Did Matt Gaetz ever put forward a plan to balance the budget or to fund the government? Did he put forward anybody to be the speaker, including himself? He's not willing to stand up and have that argument. So to me, that all rings so incredibly hollow. That is performative politics at its worst, because it's one thing to complain and have grievances about stuff. That's not leadership. Leadership requires you to say, here's my plan, here's my vision. I think we should do it this way.
Here's the problem I had with how it unfolded yesterday. Matt Gaetz absolutely sets the fire. But the only people with fire extinguishers were the Democrats. They were the only ones that could put that fire out, and they refused to. They got together, they all colluded, and said, we are not going to do anything. And this is why I see it as such a betrayal, Boyd. Just barely, Kevin McCarthy full-on knew he was going to anger the Matt Gaetz group. But he said, you know what, I'm going to keep the government open. We're going to do this, and whatever happens, happens. He showed a great deal of integrity. He crossed lines. He worked in a bipartisan way, and it was like a bad one-night stand. They're like, hey, thanks a lot for keeping the government open, but we don't know you anymore. You're over. You're dead to us, because not one single Democrat stepped up for Kevin McCarthy, and that is why I see it as the biggest betrayal of all.
Yeah, they clearly had worked together on a number of things over the course of a very short speakership, 269 days, but they had done a lot to do the business of the American people. And I've disagreed with Kevin McCarthy on a host of things, style, substance, process. But yesterday he got it right. And when he said the institution is more important than the individual, if keeping the government open and paying our troops costs me my job as Speaker of the House, so be it. The institution matters most. And I hope everyone in Congress takes a lesson and remembers that moving forward.
Boyd Matheson, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate your insights, Boyd. Matt Gaetz, the man who went after Kevin McCarthy and was successful, saying this.
Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
But who and how and when next?
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, West Jordan police say they're closer to finding the person they think tried to kidnap a 4-year-old girl from the Ross store in Jordan Landing more than a week ago. West Jordan Police Detective Dirk Peterson tells KSL TV it's taken time to make the case public because of what it took to verify that the report was credible.
That can be a tricky thing with different schedules. Gathering information of those who were actually involved.
The girl is still safe, and still with her family. Police have since released photos of who they believe is the suspect and their vehicle. You can find those on our website, kslnewsradio.com. Police are asking that you give them a call if you know anything. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Homecoming festivities at Morgan State University were shattered when a person started shooting. Nobody was killed, but 5 people were injured. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott spoke at a news conference overnight.
My anger is with the people that pulled that trigger, and we're going to work alongside Morgan State and everyone else to track down these people and hold them accountable.
Police have not yet identified a suspect. Netflix is reportedly discussing raising prices again, but the timing could be tricky.
I love the way the management team has phrased this. They talked about widening their price points. It's just a way to describe what really is a price increase. The question is when. The Hollywood strike did push that timing out. They're not going to put a price increase during a strike, and they're not going to put a price increase until the content slate gets more robust.
Evercore's Mark Mahaney tells CNBC he expects the price hikes to hit during the second half of next year. Your money at this moment, the Dow is off just 13 points now. We're at 32,989. Coming up, sunnier skies are on the way. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News, 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Get ready, Utah! It's Medicare annual enrollment period, so why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for Utah, trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th, so call today.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead.
With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone.
So what if I need a new one?
No problem. We have the right battery for your car, starting at only $89.99.
Get in zone,
And what about my old battery?
We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Okay, tonight on NBC is so amazing, I'm setting my time machine to do not miss.
You don't have a time machine.
Then how do I know Quantum Leap is back with dramatic jumps through time and a huge twist, followed by nonstop action on the return of Magnum P.I.?
Because you're a super fan. You named your houseplant Higgins.
That ficus is my best friend.
Don't miss Magnum P.I. after Quantum Leap, premiering tonight on NBC.
I should go water Higgins.
Then stay tuned for KSL 5 News at 10.
Are you ready for Spy School?
Okay, here we go. All right, let's do this.
Tonight at 10.
Oh, awesome.
KSL takes you along for the ride. Woo! Learn real-life survival tactics. And feel the adrenaline rush.
It's a wonderful way to make a living.
Utah's Spy School.
I can't do that. Yeah, you trust me. You can do it.
Tonight on KSL 5 News at 10.
Attention smart homeowners. You don't have to fall for flashy promises and companies that don't even prove their work. At Your Service Pros uses third-party verification software called MeasureQuick to ensure your new HVAC system is installed correctly. This ultimate game changer in the HVAC industry lets you, the homeowner, have proof of how your system was installed. At Your Service Pros utilizes our Bluetooth tools to upload all of your system's information into MeasureQuick. We rely on data-driven insights to properly commission, optimize, and fine-tune your HVAC system for peak performance, improving your family's comfort, lowering your utility bills, and extending the life of your HVAC system. With rebates and tax credits available totaling more than $7,500 on a dual fuel heating and cooling system, it is now more important than ever that your HVAC system be installed correctly. So call us today at 801-YOUR-PRO. That's 801-YOUR-PRO. Have the peace of mind of saving up to 50% on your new system and knowing it's installed correctly by calling 801-YOUR-PRO.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have some stop-and-go traffic northbound I-15 between 90th South and Sandy and 53rd South in Murray. A lot of that was due to earlier wet road conditions, and then we also had some bags of cement that spilled on the freeway right around I-215. But that's the only slowdown I see on major freeways across the Wasatch Front. Construction may slow you down on some of the city streets, but everything's moving along pretty well right now. Start your dream kitchen or bath today at Bedrock Quartz, where it's only 7 days from template to installation. Visit New Murray or Spanish Fork showrooms or bedrockquartz.com. bedrockquartz.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Today will be cloudy and in the 60s, but temperatures will start to rise as the week goes on. The sun will be out and temperatures will be in the 70s with an expected high of 77 on Sunday. Right now it's 54 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Who and when and how will the GOP in the House of Representatives get over their rift that led to the ouster of House Speaker Kevin McCarthy? Representative John Curtis, of course from Utah, saying Congress hit a new low. Republicans turning on Republicans and Democrats standing around with lighter fluid and matches. Jamie Raskin, prominent Democrat, back in the House, made no apologies that Democrats didn't protect McCarthy during that vote. Says the Republican Civil War is the Republican Civil War.
Right-wing Republicans have to solve the problems that right-wing Republicans create, okay? And so the civil war within the Republican Party has nothing to do with us. I voted 15 times for Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker, and I will vote 15,000 more times for Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker, unless he asks me to do something else.
I do kind of chuckle as you said, this is their problem. This is the Republicans' problem. I have nothing to do with it, except for the fact that the Democrats absolutely could have swept in with just a handful of people that said, you know what, Speaker McCarthy's doing fine. He's not my favorite guy. I would rather have Hakeem Jeffries. I know that's never going to happen. So let's go with the quote-unquote devil we know.
Representative Blake Moore, of course, from Utah, calling the show just about 10:05 this morning. But here's what he said after the ouster about people within his own party.
Here's the thing. If it were done for substantive reasons, it would be one thing. But this small band of individuals, they've actually sabotaged the very thing they're complaining against. So they're complaining we didn't get 12 full appropriations bills done and out the door by the end of September, when they themselves actually were some of the biggest saboteurs of making it so that couldn't happen.
How do they get over this civil war? How do they bury the hatchet, Dave?
It's a great question. Good. Because anytime that you have a small minority that is controlling the actions of the majority, that's a recipe for disaster.
James Curry, political science professor at the University of Utah, joining us once again on the line. Wow, a massive development overnight since we last spoke with you. Kevin McCarthy now out, and the Republicans have to figure out a way to move forward and move forward quickly because they've got this budget deadline looming. I think we're now maybe 42 days away from the continuing resolution expiring.
Yeah, it's not looking good that they'll be in a position to, or at least the House Republicans will be in a position to move forward with any sort of unity anytime soon. You have a handful of competitors who've seemingly thrown their hat in the ring to try to be the next House Speaker, to try to be the next Republican leader, but it's totally unclear if any of them could do any better than McCarthy at unifying all of the members of their caucus behind any sort of plan.
How paralyzing is this for the House?
It's not good. It's totally unclear what they can actually do procedurally on this. So, we have an acting speaker in Congressman Patrick McHenry, who's chair of the Financial Services Committee and was McCarthy's handpicked acting successor in the case of him being removed or being incapable of doing his job. We've never had an acting speaker before. This was a policy that was put in place only after 9/11, that you'd have somebody who stepped in, and it's never happened. And so we don't fully understand if Patrick McHenry has complete procedural powers or just limited procedural powers. He seems to be interpreting them as if he only has limited power, probably in part because he doesn't want to be Speaker of the House, because who would right now? And if that's the case, the House can't really do anything until Republicans can coalesce behind a leader. And that means that negotiations over spending bills and the budget can't really move forward until that happens.
So this idea that, well, we have a temporary speaker in place and he's going to step in while they work things out, we don't really know if he does have any authority, and it sounds like he doesn't even know if he has authority to do anything.
I think the best interpretation of the rules is that he does have the full authority of the Speaker's office, but I think he doesn't want to, and he doesn't want to. Since this is new, everything he does is precedent setting. So I don't think Patrick McHenry wants to set a precedent that in this sort of situation where a speaker is booted, the person who happens to be on this replacement list gets to step in and act with full authority. I think he'd prefer that that wasn't the case. And I think also he doesn't want the job anyway. And so you're in a situation where he's not going to use what probably is the full authority of the office.
He almost broke the gavel yesterday.
Slamming it.
I mean, that thing almost broke into splinters.
So angry.
Yeah.
And in fact, Representative Michael Lawless, I saw him on network news last night. I believe it was CNN. And he said, the only thing I would have done differently that McHenry didn't do was thrown the gavel at one guy. And he's a Republican, and he was referring to Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, who brought this whole thing on. What does this do to, in your view? I mean, you're an expert on Congress. This is your wheelhouse. I'm sorry. I keep apologizing for you. But what is, I mean, if they want to throw the gavel at this one guy and maybe even the 7 others who ended up voting in lockstep with the Democrats yesterday, how do they fix that?
Well, they have to. What I've thought has always been the issue for the Republicans, and this is easier said than done, but in this current moment, what you have is a really small number of members who are willing to create chaos. And it's not even the full 8 of them that voted against Kevin McCarthy. You had a couple of people there who voted against him for really, really, really idiosyncratic reasons. But there's 5 or 6 members of the House Republican caucus who just seem willing to do anything, throw anything against the wall, do whatever they can to create the chaos and to try to point out the problems that they have with what their party was doing, how the House operates, and not really actually try to work towards any sort of outcomes. And obviously Matt Gaetz has become the visible leader of this. The rest of the party has to try to do something to force those members to act differently. They have to make it so that there's some pain for those members when they do this. They have to make things uncomfortable for Matt Gaetz. And it's not clear exactly what that is. You could expel him from the House. Technically, the House can expel anyone it wants on a majority vote. Matt Gaetz has certainly done some things that are of questionable ethics that they could use as an excuse, but that would also be very unprecedented. Yeah. Since the Civil War, only 2 members of the House have been expelled, and both of them were convicted of crimes before they were expelled. So expelling someone for bad behavior would be an extreme move, But the rest of the conference who doesn't like Matt Gaetz and doesn't like what he's doing and doesn't necessarily like what his co-conspirators are doing need to do something to make them get in line.
Wow.
Jim Curry, thank you for joining us, poli-sci professor at the University of Utah. Thanks for joining us.
That is make him get in line. I don't know what they do with him. Maybe Derek Brown will have some ideas. Former chair of the Utah GOP, Derek Brown, of course, host of KSL at Night. He's on the line. He's waiting to weigh in on this, too. And don't forget, Blake Moore. Can't wait to talk to him at 10:05. I want to know what it's like back there right now. Is it awkward?
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
When I first started my soda weight loss journey, I have to tell you, I was a little stressed. Making that kind of commitment and doing it publicly is a big risk. I was a little bit worried. But I'm telling you, from the moment I started with Soda Weight Loss, SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss, I knew I wasn't alone. I had a coach. I had weekly connection. I could call or text anytime to make sure I was staying on path. The 37 pounds just dropped in the first 90 days, and here I am almost 2 years down the road, and I'm still 37 pounds down. I feel great. I have more energy, and there's nothing to be afraid of because you don't do it alone when it comes to soda. You have that coach and nutritionist. You really attack everything, all points of the compass, emotional eating, your habits, your behaviors. How do you get food as fuel to really change the game in your life? So check it out at Soda Weight Loss. As I always say, when it comes to your soda weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, only time to win. So check it out at sodaweightloss.com, SOTA-weightloss.com.
Hi, friends. Dan, the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails with feedback from customers. Here's one. Dear Dan, I just had the best experience ever. I bought a computer from Shane at your State Street store. I asked several what I thought were really stupid questions. Shane was super courteous and made me feel comfortable through the whole process. People need to understand how important it is to support a local company, especially when your experience is so good. PC Laptops really does love me. Signed, Satisfied. I love hearing feedback like that. It really just gives me the chills. It's the whole reason why I got into the computer business in the first place. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop, and they start at only $29 a month. And it comes with a lifetime warranty. That means if anything goes wrong, we're going to take care of you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really do love you.
Pelvic congestion syndrome, or pelvic venous congestion, is an important but often overlooked cause of chronic pelvic pain. It's estimated that up to 30% of patients with chronic pelvic pain may actually suffer from a symptomatic pelvic venous disorder. IVC, the leading interventional vascular and vein center in Utah for over 15 years, is here to help. Typical symptoms of pelvic venous congestion include dull achiness and heaviness in the pelvis, often made worse by prolonged standing. Well, it can often be successfully treated with a minimally invasive procedure called embolization. Pelvic venous embolization requires little or no downtime and is performed in an outpatient setting. Nearly 85% of women treated experience significant relief of their symptoms. If you suffer from the symptoms of pelvic venous congestion, let the experts at IVC help. Visit iVein.com for more or call 801-379-6700 today. As IVC has been saying for years, life starts when the pain stops.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Amanda Dixon. First, the new owners of Qualtrics Electrics are cutting 15% of their workforce as part of a restructuring plan. No word yet on how many of the layoffs will be workers here in Utah. Second, we're going to get a nationwide emergency test alert on our cell phones today at 12:20. Third, the Kaiser Permanente strike has started with 75,000 workers walking out. Right now it's 54 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
Former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, now representative, saying this about the guy that came after him, his Republican colleague, Matt Gaetz.
You all know Matt Gaetz. You know it was personal. It had nothing to do about spending. It had nothing to do about everything he accused somebody of he was doing. It all was about getting attention from you. I mean, we're getting email fundraisers from him as he's doing it. Join in quickly.
Yeah, they came after Speaker McCarthy, came after him hard. But the bigger problem was not Matt Gaetz. It's that he was able to get 7 other people from the Republican side to side with him, and then every single Democrat sat on their hands. This is not just a Matt Gaetz issue. There are over 200 members of Congress that sat on their hands. It wasn't just Matt Gaetz.
James Curry, professor of political science at the University of Utah, did just tell us, though, moments ago that to get through this moment, the GOP has to get Matt Gaetz in line.
The rest of the conference who doesn't like Matt Gaetz and doesn't like what he's doing and doesn't necessarily like what his co-conspirators are doing need to do something to make them get in line.
Republican Representative Mike Lawler on CNN telling Jake Tapper, it seems like there's no love lost there between the two of them.
You've called Gaetz's reasoning a diatribe of delusional thinking. You have called him a charlatan. Obviously, your respect for Matt Gaetz knows bounds. What are you hearing from your colleagues?
Well, I think there's a broad consensus within the conference that what he is doing is destructive, that it undermines the work that we were elected to do.
Okay, so a couple things here, Deb. And Derek Brown is going to join us right now, former GOP chair here in Utah, and also host of KSL at Night. And Derek, let me throw this out to you and get your reaction. We just heard Professor Curry said Republicans need to do something to get Matt Gaetz back in line. I fundamentally have a problem with the whole idea of getting back in line. There's few things I hate more than every single Democrat walking in lockstep with every vote. Same thing with the Republicans. Every single person, in lockstep. I don't think that's the way to do it. And this constant harping of, well, you got to do what the rest of us do. You got to do what the rest of us do, just seems fundamentally wrong to me.
Well, ultimately, it's a game, and the rules of the game are it's a two-party system, and when it's this close, I mean, it does give just a couple members an inordinate amount of power. But the problem is you do have in both of the parties, you have this small element, in the Republican Party, sometimes I call them the matchbook Republicans because it's like they know how to light a match and burn things down. They don't know how to build anything. And the Democrats have the matchbook, crowd as well. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think at this point in time, I think, the members are being sent home for the weekend. And I think there's probably some wisdom in that, right? I think it's time for everyone to sort of push the pause button, take a breather, and kind of see where things go when they come back.
What did you make of what happened yesterday when the 8 Republicans, switched over and voted in alignment with the Democrats to oust McCarthy? Were you surprised?
Well, I think it shows no, because this is who they are. I mean, like fundamentally, it's that old story of kind of the scorpion who says, why'd you sting me? Well, it's because this is who I am fundamentally, and you should have known that, even if I said I wasn't. This is who these. That small group of the Republican Party, and the Democrats have them as well. I just think historically the Democrats do a better job of sort of keeping members in line. I mean, you've got these legendary speakers like Tip O'Neill And if a Democrat went against Tip O'Neill, his office would be vacant the next morning, and he'd be officing down next to the boiler room, and he'd be on the men's restroom committee. I mean, there was just take no prisoners. I mean, we're in a game, we're in this is a team sport, and I think that's the reality. Is whether you like it or not, it's a team sport. And ever since the days of Madison and Hamilton and Jefferson, we've had a two-party system. And so, I mean, basically, Matt Gaetz is the greatest thing to happen to Democrats. I mean, that's fundamentally, if it were really about principled spending and principled, policy, that'd be one thing. But I think the clips that you just played online are, they're instructive. I think this has more to do with Gaetz than it has to do with policy.
I get it's a team sport sometimes. There are several times throughout the year when they have to come together and they have to work together. There's no other way to do it than to come together, work together, and that has to happen. And what I guess drives me crazy about this, and again, it's very easy to focus on Matt Gaetz right now, but how in the world do every single Democrat sit on their hands when Kevin McCarthy, fully understanding that he was going to incur the wrath of Matt Gaetz' group by passing the debt ceiling or raising the debt ceiling and then also preventing the government from being shut down, he worked across the aisle, he worked with Democrats, and then Democrats turned their back on him when he had just been praised for his bipartisan work.
Well, and Dave, I mean, the reality is, fundamentally, the Democrats double-crossed him. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
Is he got double-crossed. I mean, he helped them out, they helped him out, but when it came time for the speaker himself to be helped out, they not only sat on their thumbs, but they pulled out their matchbook and lit it, and then sat back and got the popcorn.
Yeah, they brought the lighter
said,
fluid.
Ha-ha.
So Derek, I want to play this because I really wanted to find out more about these 8. I mean, we know about Matt Gaetz. A lot of us have heard, him speaking. We know that he's been on and off again under investigation for his ethics.
Because I forced these people to take a few votes, you think I'm paralyzing the House of Representatives?
And he's the one who started it all with the motion to vacate. But there were 7 others who aligned with him in the end, and Republican representative out of Tennessee, Tim Burchett, is one of them. And it just seemed like they all had different reasons for why they turned on McCarthy. In fact, Burchett said, he's my friend, but in the end, he went with God's guidance.
It really doesn't matter. It was just the fact that I'd publicly stated on your station, I think this morning, that I was praying about it, and I was, I had 2 paths to go, either go with my friend or go with my conscience, and I was praying that God would tell me what to do, which he does.
What do you make of Nancy Mace indicating that it has to do with women and being a female, and that's why she voted alongside the Democrats, and then Representative Tim Burchett saying, he have ultimately prayed about it and went with God's guidance on this?
Well, they've all got their reasons. I mean, I think there's a couple of things going on. One is, I've talked to a number of members of Congress and staff. In fact, one of the most insightful comments that may explain what is going on was Representative Cruz's chief of staff, Corey Norman, made the comment. He said that McCarthy made too many promises to too many people. And I think that may be the most insightful thing I've seen, from anyone or heard. Simply, I think he might have just made too many promises and promises that he couldn't keep. But fundamentally, the process is messy. And, if there's gridlock and nothing is moving in the House, which is kind of where they are now, that's also the process we have. And sometimes gridlock isn't a bad thing. But it is fascinating. This is the first time this has ever happened. So it makes for great political theater. And we now have, at least 2 people I know of, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, who are both names that really can clear the field that are running. But anyway, the reality is Scalise may be the front runner, although he still has some health issues from when he was shot, 6 years ago. So I don't know where that's going to go, but I think the reality is I think they're going to push the pause button. Everyone's going to go home. They'll come back, and we'll see what happens. But my guess is one of those two names will be kind of where things land in the coming week.
Derek Brown, thank you. And hey, Democrats, if you didn't like Kevin McCarthy, you're going to hate Jim Jordan.
Straight ahead, Representative Blake Moore on how it feels to be in D.C. today, or maybe he's already home because it sounds like the House was sent home for the weekend. We'll see.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen at home on any smart speaker and in your car at 102.7 FM. This is KSL News Radio, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. This morning, the new owners of the Qualtrics company announced a restructuring plan that includes eliminating 780 jobs. About 15% of its workforce still has a headquarters in Provo. The Deseret News reports the company's CEO, Zig Serafin, says the layoffs will impact all 26 Qualtrics offices. Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith helped to found the company. He remains its biggest single shareholder. The Utah family is begging all of us to put away our phones while driving just a year after their son was killed by a distracted driver.
You never heal. You learn how to live differently, and you learn how to live with sadness.
That's Braden Long's dad, Clark Monk, speaking with KSL TV. He's not alone. So far, 6 kids have died on Utah's roads this year. Braden's parents say the solution is simple. Put down the phone when you're behind the wheel.
But if we all did it together,
that's right.
It could have
everybody has to do it.
Not a better time to focus on the road since October is historically the deadliest month for auto pedestrian accidents. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. As it turns out, the Speaker of the House doesn't have to be a member of Congress. There's been some talk about former President Trump taking the job. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill. He says that would be a very, very long shot.
You don't have to be a member of Congress to serve as Speaker of the House, even as Trump seemed to pour cold water on that. The likelihood of a Trump bid to become Speaker of the House is incredibly, incredibly unlikely. The only members we're really hearing talking about it are Marjorie Taylor Greene, for instance.
Republicans in the House who are likely to run for Speaker include Steve Scalise of Louisiana and Jim Jordan of Ohio. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day right now, 75 points. The NASDAQ is up even more, 132 points at this hour. And our KSL weather looks like things are going to turn drier and sunny. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Everything's changing so fast these days, and that's a great thing. Back in my day, we were lucky if we could get a video to load on a desktop computer, but now there's the Xfinity 10G network. That means the fastest internet with faster speeds rolling out all the time, and internet that can power a house full of devices at once with ultra-low lag. So while one person streams a movie from their room, another can play video games in the basement, while another TikToks in the kitchen. It's the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Through December 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gigabit internet with Wi-Fi equipment included. It's all just $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data at regular rates. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Actual speeds vary. The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink & McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Over the years, I have seen a lot of down payment assistance programs. Most of them just aren't practical for one reason or another, but we have one now that is pretty solid. This program is for first-time home buyers or some buyers who have been out of the market for several years. It includes a gift of up to $4,000 to help with the down payment. Given that this program only calls for a 3% down payment in the first place, this gift can be a real game changer. Some restrictions apply. One restriction is that the household income cannot be over a certain amount, which for most areas along the Wasatch Front is around $85,000 annual income. Call us today if you want to take a look. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
Go to KSLkids.com and donate to the KSL Give-a-thon. We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long. Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including Big Canyon Homes and Sugar House Industries, for their amazing support of the kids at Primary Children's.
With the KSL Give-a-thon, we can't do it without you. Please give.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up or repair or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
It's the Fall Football Classic that set the world on its side. A wishbone defense and a Brown Omega-3 offense. The Oakdale Egg Farm Showdown, like you've never seen it before. Both teams in pursuit of gridiron glory. It was 4th and goal. History was made when Omega-3 took the field.
Hey, come on, wake up. Your omelet is ready.
Huh? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Use Oakdale's cage-free eggs for your winning team. No hormones or antibiotics are ever added, and they're high in protein. Oakdale.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have delays northbound I-15 between Sandy and Murray. This looks like it's actually due to lane restrictions to the 5300 South exit ramp. The right lane is closed on that exit ramp, so there's only one lane available to exit. That's causing the backups all the way almost to 90th South. Other than that, you've got a good drive right now. No accidents reported on the east or west side belt routes, the 201 freeway or I-80 through Parley's Canyon. Join the Utah Symphony for the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. Tickets start at $21. Get yours today at utahsymphony.org. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather looks like our rain is done for now, and things are going to clear up and dry out. Today's high around 54, and or 64 rather. By the time we get to Sunday, it'll be around 77. And right now, 54 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Here's what Congressman Blake Moore said yesterday after the vote to oust Speaker McCarthy. He's on the line, and in a matter of moments, we're going to ask him how things are going today.
Here's the thing. If it were done for substantive reasons, it would be one thing. But this small band of individuals, they've actually sabotaged the very thing they're complaining against. So they're complaining we didn't get 12 full appropriations bills done and out the door by the end of September, when they themselves actually were some of the biggest saboteurs of making it so that couldn't happen.
I believe he also used at one point the word narcissism.
Another representative from Utah, John Curtis, said Congress set a new low today. Republicans turning on Republicans and Democrats standing around with the lighter fluid and matches.
Representative Blake Moore, good morning. Or is it?
Good morning. No, I'm kind of reflecting today, thinking, like I always come on your show with some historic moment in Congress, and I'd actually just like boring for once. I just want boring, work on the deficit and budget. That's all I want.
Just get through your 12 bills. It's not that hard.
So we heard earlier that the House members are going to be sent home. Is that to sort of kind of calm things down? Is it pretty uncomfortable back there right now?
Yeah, I'm definitely uncomfortable. But Speaker McCarthy, look, the reason that, I mean, this was almost inevitable just because there was just a few members, and it was portrayed yesterday, that had personal grudges, almost baggage from years ago, nothing related to anything. And then it was just almost inevitable that this was going to happen as I now kind of like take a step back and look at it. But for him to do some things this last several months that were the right things to do, and when you're in divided government, you have to negotiate. There's no other option really, unless you want complete destruction, default, and everything. He negotiated in good faith. And that was what ultimately was his demise. So he had several times done what he felt was right, and that led to his demise. So there's a lot of frustration. But he said yesterday, he did it again. He said, I'm not going to rerun. I'm not going to run for speaker. I want you all to come together. I want you to find a speaker, and I want you to figure that out next week. So take the weekend. Everybody's going to get a chance now to decide if they're going to run for a certain position, and there's a little bit of time that's needed for that. And we'll come back on Tuesday. We'll meet as a conference. And then Wednesday morning, we'll do another round of speaker votes.
As you said, there's a couple instances where you just have to work together, raising the debt ceiling, preventing the government shutdown. Speaker McCarthy absolutely worked with Democrats, and I think everybody understands why and supported him in that. But then again, it is also easy to focus on Matt Gaetz. Now, Matt Gaetz, in my opinion, he may have set that fire, as Representative Curtis said, but Democrats had the fire extinguishers, and they walked away as the House burned. Why is all the focus on Matt Gaetz and not the Democrats, who just barely had been praising Kevin McCarthy for his bipartisan work and averting the government shutdown, and they're catching no heat?
Yeah, I mean, this is unprecedented, right? And yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, and I was forced to vote present or vote that my vote would keep Speaker Pelosi in her seat, like that's a really difficult political vote to make. So, and I've told some of my Democratic colleagues that may have wanted to see us get through this and may have been willing to potentially vote present. It was clear 2 days ago when we met with some of these individuals that they weren't going to do it and that their leadership was going to go a different direction and not allow for it to happen. And I had to think to myself, like, well, if the shoe was on the other foot, what would our leadership do? We would have probably been in a similar situation, and that's unfortunate. We can't be held hostage by just a handful of people. We have real work to do, and real work that we were doing correctly, right? Like, there's all this talk about the 12 appropriations bills. I talked to a member that's been around for a while. She said, I have never seen us vote on an individual bill called State and Foreign Ops. It's one of the 12 appropriations. I've never seen us vote on and pass one of these bills off the House. They've always had to be lumped in with other things. We were doing the right work, and this is just another delay tactic to create attention and to fill some – some of them, and what I'm seeing is it gets communicated. Oh, this is the GOP hardliners. These are the most conservative members. And I'm like, oh, Jim Jordan's not considered that anymore. Jim Jordan was one of the most frustrated yesterday with what was going on. This isn't about conservatism, right? This is about, undermining Kevin McCarthy and trying to create this narrative. And it's good for a lot of things. And candidly, there's a lot of fundraising going on right now from some of these individuals that did this. And, they immediately, their political operations had fundraising emails going out saying, I'm going to vote to vacate and you need to stand with me and send $10, $15, $20 my way. Like, it's just, if that's what it's become, it's
feels
ridiculous.
icky. Representative Blake Moore live on the line. You're calling from D.C. or you're calling from Utah?
I just landed, actually.
Oh,
so
thanks for making us your first call. About the uncomfortable situation going on in the House after the ouster of House Speaker, and it's unprecedented, Kevin McCarthy. Here's what McCarthy said about Matt Gaetz, who led the charge to oust him and then eventually got 7 other Republicans on board to vote in lockstep with the Democrats in favor of ousting McCarthy.
You all know Matt Gaetz. You know it was personal. It had nothing to do about spending. It had nothing to do about everything he accused somebody of he was doing. It all was about getting attention from you.
What happens now to Matt Gaetz? Like, is there such a thing as quiet revenge among the conference?
Representative Gaetz voted for a bill that would have added $500 billion to our mandatory spending budget just last Congress. Kevin McCarthy tried his hardest to get the entire conference to not do that bill. It was way too expensive and it was ill-defined, and it wasn't the right direction fiscally. He votes for that bill because it was popular, but he's unwilling to communicate how he actually is going to plan to pay for it. And then when it's time, there's only one way to deal with it, is you're not going to find the money. You have to raise. I mean, the debt ceiling is part of that. Like, he forced a higher debt ceiling with what he's voting for, and then is unwilling to work in any way. Like, so that's absolutely true what he's saying. It's not about spending. It's personal. So I don't know what. And honestly, the way I like to typically deal with these types of things is when people want, going out and doing so much to get attention. Like, at some point we just got to ignore it. You got to ignore it and not feed that anymore. And that's kind of what I think going forward. And I want to be able to coalesce and figure out a speaker to move forward and get our jobs done.
Okay, as you're talking about finding a new speaker, some of our listeners may not know this, but you don't actually have to be a member of Congress to be Speaker of the House. So, Representative Moore, Donald Trump for Speaker?
No, I think there's a lot of good folks in the conference that are ready to take on the challenge, and I think we'll figure that out. Remember, we talk about these 12 appropriations bills. That's less than 1/4 of our entire budget. It is not where our debt is driven from. We have runaway programs that go unchecked that don't even get a vote on an annual basis. That's called our mandatory direct spending. Our interest is actually, the interest we're paying this year as opposed to last year is going to cost us more than any cuts we can actually make to the discretionary budget. So it's a big job, and we've got a lot to do in the next 5 to 8 years to directly deal with this. And one thing I was really proud of what Kevin McCarthy did is he was willing to put a debt commission on the floor. I finally got to vote on a debt commission last week. One of the most conservative bills that we've had yet was the continuing resolution that included border security, a debt commission, and significant spending cuts. And 21 Republicans, Gates and company included, voted against that just because they wanted to drag this and give no options for McCarthy. That's the truth. And it's frustrating, but we'll try to move forward.
Just real quick question, because we know we got to let you go and we got to run too. What do you think that you talked about the next 5 to 8 years, what are the next 5 to 8 days? Will the GOP be able to get its act together back in the House and get a speaker elected?
You're not going to offend me by saying, can we get our act together? I think the exact same. I heard you kind of pause there. I feel the exact same way. There's going to be a lot of calls going around. But this motion to vacate was really important for a few people, and they didn't use it. But other people's threshold to use it is obviously much, much, much lower. And we have to address the rule change to potentially. I mean, no decent person would go in to what Kevin McCarthy was willing to go into these last 9 months because it's just untenable. And so there's a strong conversation around figuring that out. So if we can figure out some of those rule changes, I think we can coalesce around somebody to move forward.
And that's what happened with the motion to vacate. Representative Matt Gaetz is the sole person who makes the motion, and that starts the wheels in motion to oust House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, which it sounds like what you're worried about is these coups will continue to happen over and over again if somebody has a disagreement or a personal vendetta with the speaker.
Yeah, and you're in divided government, so you can't have a conservative utopia. If we need to focus on winning elections, and we need to take a deep, hard look at what the Republican Party needs to do to win broad appeal in elections, which the last 2 elections, the only person that's actually won has been Kevin McCarthy. He took us from a deep minority to a majority in the last 2 election cycles. President Trump lost, and we lost the midterms. This is something that we have to be willing to deal with, but you don't have like this conservative utopia. You're going to make some folks mad, and if they can just, because they're mad for a couple days, get rid of the speaker, like this precedent is just horrible to set. We need to consistently work together, sustain our majority, and move the ball forward. Take every single win that we can get, but recognize that it's a divided government, and you're not going to have this utopia. And so that's what we'll try to work on.
Blake Moore, Thank you for joining us. Good luck getting an Uber. We hope you get home all right. But just landed here in Utah from D.C. In quite honestly, what is a cooling off period.
It probably feels like it's like welcome home. It feels good to be home and be away from that chaos. The
stench of chaos.
The stench of chaos.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
And with that,
the office of Speaker of the House is hereby declared vacant.
The U.S. House removes its Speaker for the first time in history, and no amount of finger-pointing or blame can change it.
He did what speakers are supposed to do. He passed the bill.
This is a Republican civil war.
Getting 200 Republicans to trust you isn't enough to stay Speaker.
What happens in Congress next, and how do we fix a House that is broken? Listen each day this week to KSL News Radio.
Okay, it depends on what you want done. If you're looking at getting some electrical work done in your house, in your yard, wherever, give Master Electrical a call.
They do everything. Lights, ceiling fans, smoke detectors, and I'm sure they're going to be installing an EV charger in Dave's home very soon because he just bought a brand new, or not brand new, but sort of brand new to you.
New for me.
EV,
new to the Noriega
an
household.
Electric vehicle. They have upfront pricing with Master Electrical, so you call them, they give you the quote up front, and that is their upfront pricing guarantee. That is the price you pay when the job is done.
Yeah, you're never going to see an upcharge. In fact, their pricing system simply won't allow it.
They're always open, including for emergency services, which is awesome because when you have an emergency, no matter what time it is, and it has to deal with your electrical wiring, you need to know that Master Electrical is there to help you on the spot. 801-543-2222. Again, that number, 801-543-2222.
Master Electrical proudly serves from Logan to Santaquin. You can check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Is shopping for medical supplies online leaving you feeling intimidated and overwhelmed? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I want to share a real customer story with you.
The moment I walked into Alpine, I felt cared for. They pulled me into a private room, and the Alpine professional happily set up my CPAP machine, explaining everything I needed to know. The service didn't stop there. After I went home, Alpine called me a week later just to check on me. These guys really are the experts. Before Alpine, I was so stressed trying to navigate what I needed online by myself, but all the stress went away when I went to their store. They really do deserve 5 stars.
We know when you walk through our doors, you deserve to be cared for. Stop by any of our 11 locations and discover the Alpine Home Medical difference. When you need assistance, we're here for you.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
AlpineHomeMedical.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter. the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, the new owners of Qualtrics have begun a restructuring plan that will eliminate 15% of the company's workforce. Second, it's not impossible that former President Trump could become Speaker of the House, but very, very unlikely to begin with. Says he doesn't want the job. And third, a family who lost their son in a crash caused by distracted driving is asking all of us to put away our cell phones while we're on the road. Right now, 54 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Let's talk about this story at Deseret.com. It's in the Deseret News. And it's called The New Utah. That's the title of it. The New Utah. Bigger, more diverse, and economically mighty, but facing unprecedented challenges. I want to get into some of those challenges, but let me give you a taste of them, Dave. Hello.
It's a one-way conversation.
Can you turn your microphone on?
It's a one-way conversation.
Just turn your microphone on, and I'll stop talking to myself. It's been a ride.
All
today.
alone, talking to yourself. Anyone talking back?
The article gets into there's a bigger divide between the haves and have-nots in Utah. Older population, aging population. I think they said something like it's older than ever. We're older than ever. And a big problem with important things like housing. So to me, it's sounding like we're a little like a baby California.
Ew. Don't say it like that.
Just trying to poke the bear over
You're
there.
totally poking the bear.
Mm-hmm.
The economy in Utah has been so good for so long that we've prospered. We have a lot of cash. We're one of the top economic states in the entire country. Well, when things are good, well, you can charge a little more. You can charge a premium. When things are a disaster, when things are bad, prices come down. So it's the catch-22. It's the curse of having a great economy right now. Prices are going to go up, and they have historically.
The article of the Desert News dissects a report by the Kim C. Gardner Institute up at the University of Utah. Somebody we've interviewed from time to time on this show, he's a housing expert at the U, says, of course, my computer just jumped on me. Here we go. Utah faces the most unaffordable market in history, referring to the housing market. The most unaffordable market in history.
We've never seen anything like it. You've lived here for 30 years. I've been here my entire life. And we've never seen the housing market explode like it has.
We're the fastest growing state in the country.
Yeah, population-wise, no question.
Yeah, what the article also says. We've been leading economy, but are now an elite economy. That's outperformed other states for the better part of 12 years, and we've entered a new, exciting demographic and economic environment as a state.
Yeah, and one of the things, when things are going well and people are getting older and they're living here, the older you get, the more money you make. So your salary goes up, and if the businesses are going well, it just builds and builds and builds. Again, when you have a great supply of money, when you're doing well, then prices are going up, no question.
Yeah, I don't necessarily look at this through the economics of the state. I look at this through the lens of being a mom of 3 20-something-year-old kids who are launching. And frankly, housing is so unaffordable, rent is unaffordable, and so with growth and supply issues with housing, of course, prices go up, and now interest rates are so incredibly high, and if you can't get into a home for under $400,000, look at what your payment's going to be. So I look at it from a mom whose kids will financially have a hard time launching. I also look at it from a perspective of being somebody who commutes to and from work every day, and I feel like I-15 at about maybe 3,300 south to 106 south is clogged daily from 3 p.m. on. I can never count on there not being an accident or just congestion for the sake of congestion. So that's how I have felt it personally. And and it also says that there's this widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. And I'm curious to know if maybe I'm a have and my kids are going to be the have-nots.
They are no question the have-nots. It's just
that breaks my heart.
Well, this is the great thing about the youth. They have time to change
or move.
They have the time to change. They have the flexibility. It's different when you have a mortgage, you have a family, you know, everyone's in school. You have less flexibility. When you're young, you can pick up and go.
It just makes me feel like, I guess I was born at the right time and you weren't. Sorry. So you look across the country at more, what you end up doing is looking across the country at more affordable places to buy a house. If it, you know, a starter home, where a starter home isn't $500,000, which is ridiculous, but it's more in the neighborhood of under 200 or maybe under 300,000, or maybe it's a condo for 250 or you know, maybe a little under that. But it's something that's reasonable where you don't have to have 1,800 roommates to help you pay the mortgage, and you're trying to be a landlord and somebody who's, you know, trying to launch in their life. This is just a taste of what we saw in the Deseret News. So if you want to learn more about this issue of the new Utah, head over to check out our colleagues' report news article at Deseret.com. Straight ahead, Amy Kobabe did a fabulous special that aired over conference weekend on the new age of dating. And during her journey and her research to find out more information about how people are dating these days, she found out something interesting. It's making a comeback. It's called matchmaking. She's up next.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top local story this hour. Utah's annual brine shrimp harvest on the Great Salt Lake is underway now. Harvesters are feeling more optimistic about their take this year. Great Salt Lake Brine Shrimp Co-op Vice Chair General Counsel Tim Hawks says last year they had record low water levels and high salt content, making it hard for the brine shrimp to produce high-quality eggs. But the big water year is changing things around.
Because of that, we're optimistic we could have a much better harvest, not necessarily in terms of quantity, but certainly in terms of quality.
The Great Salt Lake's the largest producer of brine shrimp eggs anywhere in the world. If you buy shrimp anywhere on planet Earth, there's about a 50-50 chance that it was fed with brine shrimp from the Great Salt Lake. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A judge in former President Trump's civil fraud trial in New York issued a gag order yesterday after Trump made some harsh comments about the court clerk online. ABC's Aaron Katursky has more.
They've already been largely rejected by the judge, but that is the cornerstone of Trump's defense here. Basically, the so what factor. Maybe his financial statements weren't, on the up and up, but the banks made money in the end because Trump paid back his loans, didn't miss a payment. There were no real victims here. Nobody said they would no longer do business with Trump. There's even going to be a witness called who says as much.
That's ABC's Aaron Katursky. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 114 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is up about 135. And our KSL weather. We're done with the rain for now, it looks like. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
On KSL News Radio.
Martin's Collision Repair.
50,000 cars repaired and counting. Just check Martin's 5-star online reviews.
Philip posted, the workmanship was very well done. I was impressed with how well we were treated by each of the employees that we dealt with.
Hi, I'm Tiago Martins. Check Martin's Facebook page or martinscollision.com for your 5-star Martins experience. On State Street in Norham and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
Summer's long gone. Is it time to think about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner? Would a $1,200 instant discount on a new day and night home comfort system help?
Don't put it off. Have a new day and night furnace and air conditioner installed and get an up to $1,200 instant discount with a 12-year day and night no-hassle warranty on qualifying systems. You'll be warm all winter and save on your energy bills. Click online to dayandnightcomfort.com for a nearby elite day and night home comfort expert. The difference is day and night.
I'm a big believer in investing into what the wealthiest people in the world invest into. But it's not easy to know exactly what that is, and it hasn't always been possible for regular folks like you and I. But that's changing. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and if you've done a good job acquiring some assets, now is the time to consider private equity. Private equity is ownership of private companies that aren't traded on the stock market and in most cases are very exclusive. Examples could include ownership of apartments or nursing homes, dental practices, solar farms, you name it. Why do so many billionaires invest into private equity? Because of historically low correlation to the stock market and historically higher returns. If you have a goal with your portfolio but aren't there yet, call Trajan Wealth today. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. May require accreditation.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Made to shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
My aunt lives in Long Island. Growing up, we were really close. She's always been really accepting and very supportive. She's a little sassy and even rides a motorcycle. This year, I really wanted to do something special for her and let her know how much she means to me. So for her birthday, I got her a bracelet and I had it engraved with our initials to represent our bond. She loves it.
Remind someone how special they are with a personalized gift. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Looks like all the delays are finally gone from the freeways across the Wasatch Front for the first time in several hours. We don't have any slowdowns on I-15, the east or west side belt routes, or the 201 freeway. A few of the city streets still have a little bit of congestion. A lot of that is due to construction. We're used to seeing those orange barrels by now, but for the most part, you're going to have a good commute. Get the Intermountain West Contractors Advantage. Quality, speed, value for your money, and use code RADIO1000 to get $1,000 off a roof replacement now. Visit iwcroofing.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy today, high of 64, then sunny and warmer through the rest of the week. 55 degrees, partly cloudy right now. I'm Dan Bomis, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
David Dujanovic.
Navigating a new age of dating. And it's called using a matchmaker. That's what we're going to talk about right now.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find. Catch me a catch.
Where'd you find that, Dave?
Fiddler on the Roof. That is old school. That is an old movie. And you know what else is old school? Matchmaking. When I heard Amy Kobabe talk about matchmaking, I thought it was a joke. Like, there is no way we are still doing matchmaking in modern day America.
Amy Kobabe wrote, produced, researched a full hour for a special that aired over conference weekend right here on KSL News Radio called Navigating the New Age of Online Dating. Now, it did focus to some degree on dating sites. Dating online, apps. Yes. Dating apps, right? But you also found this really unique twist that's old school, like Dave says, bringing back old school to hopefully help people find new relationships that stick.
Yeah. So in Fiddler, I'm so glad you brought Fiddler on the Roof, because I think they gave her a chicken or two for that. And it was more of like that was the culture in that movie. They portray it as this is just how it's done. And, if you want to get married, you have to have someone broker it, essentially. So now what it is people are going to professionals and saying, hey, this isn't working out for me. Please help me find the person of my dreams, because I am so sick of swiping on dating apps. I'm so sick of getting ghosted, meeting up for coffee, and then finding out that they, immediately, I'm sure you've experienced this.
Oh, yeah.
There's no connection.
We could go on and on about the dating app experience, and that's frankly why I got off of the dating apps almost a year ago, because I thought this is the experience to absolutely nowhere, and you'd get to that coffee date and you'd find out there's no compatibility, or their criminal history is longer than their leg, and that's just not something that I'm going to subject myself to, or quite frankly my adult children to, bringing them into my kids' lives. So the matchmaking scenario is intriguing. Does it cost a lot of money?
Costs a lot of money. The one I spoke to, she said it costs $10,000. That's her fee. But here's what's included in that. She also she's essentially a personal consultant for, if you're signing up for this. She'll be very direct and honest with you of, let's get you some teeth straightening. Let's get you some, let's get your braces, or let's get your hair colored. Let's try and make you feel more confident as you enter dates. She also sets them up with a therapist, someone who's going to look at, okay, what is maybe holding you back? Are there things that you have, maybe an attachment style or some unhealthy communication styles that are stopping you from having success? And so there's that. There's also, she's, let's play this clip I have of her talking about just kind of her role in
And her
this.
name is Amy
Seal.
Okay, let's listen.
So I'm the neutral third party. So I'm not, I set up my clients with amazing people, but I'm not vested in any one person. They will share their criteria with me, and that's sometimes hard for them to do because it's in their head, but to share it is really hard because they don't want to sound shallow, but everyone wants to be attracted. And so in order for me to do my job, I'll show them about 30 photos of the opposite sex, and I ask them if they would swipe yes or no.
What are some of the biggest problems that the matchmakers are seeing? Is there a common theme?
Yeah, I think what she mentioned there, she brought up a couple of times, is that people might have this idea of what they're looking for. I kind of joked with one of the people I interviewed, I'm looking for Mr. Darcy, but I couldn't tell you what that means except that, like in the book. And so a lot of people have this idea of they want to be, financially stable. They want someone that they're attracted to. And so what she does is she kind of helps them work through those things. And she said with some of her older clients, she has some women who are divorced that she's going through. They're later in life. And sorry,
you're
Debbie.
looking right at me, but okay, keep going.
But she says that that sometimes it's really hard for them to articulate that, I'm not attracted to this style of hair or something. And she has to kind of say, well, what if they are really charming? What if they are honest? What if they
have
treat
integrity,
their family really well, and they have good
cheat on you.
relationships? Yeah, they don't cheat. All of these things. And
But their hair, Debbie.
But the hair could be changed. And so she also, what she'll do is, not everyone is good at dating. Dating is hard. Going on those coffee dates, not everyone is just naturally good at that. So she'll set them up with a professional date, someone that she's hired to go, and they go on a date, and then she'll come back, she'll talk to that person and say, okay, what are some of the things you noticed? They did not stop talking, or they were really uncomfortable, they kept fiddling, or just what are the things that maybe someone could say about you but they wouldn't say about you if they don't want to hurt your feelings.
You could correct. So you hire her for $10,000. She sets you on this professional date. They can analyze how you behave, that features that could be turning somebody off, like the people who sit there and it's funny because you get done with these dates and you're like, Wow, I know everything about them, but did they even ask me one question about me? No. Okay, is that how this is going to go? Dave's sitting back just smirking.
No, I'm fascinated. Because I think far too often I look at the dating world right now of the swipe right. It has got to be the most impersonal, shallow way of dating possible, where you're like, not handsome enough, not tall enough, not short enough, not this enough. There's a million things. None of that matters. I mean, so little of it matters. And I think that we've gotten confused and maybe lied to a little bit by these apps that say, oh, that's the only thing that matters.
Absolutely. And some of these apps we've seen with some of the Tinder, you can pay $500 now to be sent to the most attractive people that do the best on the app.
My
So
goodness.
they're leaning into that, and it's understandable how people are frustrated. So it's not to say that you shouldn't be attracted to someone, but is their eye color the most important thing, or their hairstyle, or is it how they treat you, if they're caring, those kinds of things?
I will say this: matchmaking or dating apps. There are millions of people out in this world who are single, who are looking for a compatible partner to go through life with, somebody they can trust, has integrity, will be loyal to them, and if I know it's a lot of money, and I'm not suggesting that $10,000 is, I don't know if it's worth it or not. But I will tell you that the dating apps are exactly what you said, Dave, even though I know you don't use them because you don't need to use them, but that is exactly how it feels, impersonal. And also there are a lot of phony profiles on dating apps, AKA catfishes, that break women and men's hearts all over this country. So if a matchmaker can go out and meet the person before you meet them and kind of weed through the riffraff and get somebody a connection, maybe that's worth $10,000.
Right. It does kind of weed out people that are looking just for something quick, just to make a quick buck on someone's expense, to scam them or something like that. It does kind of put you in that serious category. And a lot of people, even if they can't afford this, are in that serious category. But this is one option that a lot of people in Utah are taking advantage of. There's also, just in my research on this, some fun shows on Netflix. There's an Indian matchmaker, quite funny to watch, just some of these parents that have very high expectations. And so it's kind of coming back, and we'll see what becomes of it. Maybe it'll become even more popular in the future. We'll lose the dating apps, and everyone will get a matchmaker.
Amy Kobe, thank
fun,
you
Amy.
for joining us. We can find your special on KSLNewsRadio.com.
KSLNewsRadio.com. I'm looking at it right now. We're going to link this to Facebook as well. We'll link this to KSL News Radio Facebook page and to my Debbie Dujanovic Reports Facebook page, how the dating world has changed and how to navigate it.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. The other night, Dee and I had the chance to go to Hale Center Theater to see Around the World in 80 Days. What an amazing stage production that is. We're all familiar with the story, but oh my goodness, when they're in India and we're watching them riding an elephant, and of course the aerial artistry at Hale Center Theater, just superb and such a great part of this story. There's drama, there's pageantry. We even have a little melodrama portion when Fogg and company are touring the good old USA. Some of the greatest slow-mo acting I have ever seen in that scene. You're going to love Around the World in 80 Days. And your tickets are waiting for you right now at hct.org. And don't forget, Catch Me If You Can. That's on the other stage. Christmas Carol is just around the corner. And of course, Elf the Musical is coming up. It's all waiting at Hale Center Theater. Go to hct.org.
Okay, tonight on NBC is so amazing, I'm setting my time machine to do not miss.
You don't have a time machine.
Then how do I know Quantum Leap is back with dramatic jumps through time and a huge twist, followed by nonstop action on the return of Magnum P.I.?
Because you're a super fan. You named your houseplant Higgins.
That ficus is my best friend.
Don't miss Magnum P.I. after Quantum Leap, premiering tonight on NBC.
I should go water Higgins.
Then stay tuned for KSL 5 News at 10. Are you ready for Spy School?
Okay, here we go. All right, let's do this.
Tonight at 10.
Oh, awesome.
KSL takes you along for the ride. Woo! Learn real-life survival tactics. And feel the adrenaline rush.
It's a wonderful way to make a living.
Utah's Spy School.
I can't do that. Yeah, trust me, you can do it.
Tonight on KSL 5 News at 10.
The country's largest used RV show is back and better than ever. Come find the biggest used RV selection in years, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. We're bringing in a massive range of used RVs from 6 locations in 3 states for this event. Shop used travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, toy haulers, and more all on site. Plus, find even more used models online at countriesrvshow.com. You'll find used RV pricing starting as low as $10,000. Along with a huge selection of used RVs, find new RVs straight from the factory already discounted for fall. Plus, all remaining 2023s are at fall show pricing. Strike the best RV deal of the season with no payments until 2024 on approved credit. Not to mention huge trade-in offers on your current RV. And check out our Hunter's Corner just in time to kick off your hunting season. We'll also have consignment RVs at private sale prices backed by dealer support. Don't miss your best chance to extend your fall camping season during the country's largest used RV show. 3 days only, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. Open daily at 10 a.m. with free admission. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
Transform your outdated kitchen with half-price granite for $2,500. Granite, quartz, cabinets, and flooring. Visit halfpricegranite.com. Affordable luxury.
Held over due to popular demand. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 888-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, looks like this year's harvest of brine shrimp eggs will be better now that conditions on the Great Salt Lake have improved. Second, lawyers for former President Trump are trying a so what defense on charges that he inflated the value of his properties. They argue their loans were paid back and nobody was hurt. And third, 2 top Republicans in the House are being mentioned as possible candidates for Speaker, but nobody's talking seriously about former President Trump taking that job. Right now, 54 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Our friend Jay Evenson at the Deseret News in the house with us right now. He is a senior editorial columnist at the News, at the D News, and he recently analyzed what is going on with migrants from Venezuela who are fleeing their country and why it's happening and why it's causing such a crush of immigrants in the United States.
And Venezuela and those migrants from there, asylum seekers, quite honestly, have been in the news because finally, after, it's what seems like years, the Biden administration finally stepped in and did something, and they did something specifically for Venezuelan refugees, or I should say asylum seekers, where they said 500,000, am I getting that? That's
Yes.
the right number, right? 500,000 Venezuelans can basically work in America for, what is it, a year, 18 months, and basically they took off some of the restraints. They can go get a job. Very unique for Venezuela. Jay, why did you want to focus on Venezuela?
Well, the very idea that there's 500,000 of them in New York and in some of our larger cities, and the fact that about 20% of those who are coming across the border right now are from Venezuela made me curious. Why is this? So I did a little research, and there's a lot of torture, for lack of any other word, going on in Venezuela, being led by President Nicolas Maduro, who wants to go after anyone who opposes his regime. There's a building in Caracas called the Helicoid. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it was originally built as a drive-through shopping center. And if you look at, I link in my column to a picture of it, and it kind of dominates the landscape in Caracas, and it's turned into a massive torture chamber.
What?
And the United Nations did an investigation, and the quote from it says the torture methods include beatings, electric shocks, asphyxiation with plastic bags, stress positions, threats to kill and rape detainees, and other forms of psychological torture. And these are people, intellectuals, students, political prisoners, but they're also people who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and get rounded up with a bunch of others who may be protesting or doing things the government doesn't like. So you look at that and you think, wow, what would make me want to walk across an entire continent to get to the United States for freedom? Maybe something like that. When you look at the root cause, why are people coming across the border? You have to look at places like the Helicoid and understand people are desperate, and you can't really blame them.
Jay Evenson is with the Deseret News, is the opinion editor there. And Jay, as we're talking about immigration, migrants, asylum seekers, not all are coming from Venezuela. Not all of them are escaping torture. Many are coming over just because there's better opportunities in America. And I think America right now is struggling mightily with what to do with illegal immigration, with asylum seekers, for folks that are claiming to be seeking asylum but are not really oppressed. What do we do? And why can't we have this conversation in America?
Well, we can't because we're just dealing in stereotypes. And you've articulated it. There are various types of people coming across the border. Asylum seekers who are looking for legal protection because their lives are in danger. Refugees who are fleeing because for one reason or another, they are seeking a better life. And migrants who are looking for jobs, basically. And at the same time, we have a labor shortage in this country, and particularly here in Utah. And our governor, Spencer Cox, said every state is now a border state. And I think there's some truth to that. We need to get beyond the stereotypes. So it doesn't help when Governor Abbott of Texas and Governor DeSantis of Florida are shipping these people on buses and airplanes to sanctuary cities in the north. That's not really a serious way of dealing with this problem. But at the same time, from the left, it doesn't help to not realize that the border states are bearing an extraordinary amount of this burden on their own and need help. We need to find a way where we can marry the two needs. So a state like Utah can say, look, we need X number of migrant workers for our farms or for other needs. And there's a system that can allocate a certain number of people who cross the border to come and work up here. And there needs to be a way to deal with the asylum seekers in an orderly manner. But we can't do that as long as we're just talking in stereotypes.
Yelling at each other and not looking at the nuances of what these individuals are experiencing. And you so profoundly put that just a few moments ago that I was just in awe of what you were saying, probably for all the wrong reasons. It's like, why in the world would we not accept people from another nation who are put in an old shopping mall and tortured to their death? And you explain this so well in your opinion piece about the idea that they're walking across an entire nation to get to our border to seek asylum, all just made sense to me. It made sense to me, of course. And so why do we yell and scream at them? And we scream when the president says for the next year and a half we'll allow 500,000 of them, specifically from Venezuela, who are seeking asylum here, to work, to support their families, and to find housing, because right now they are in shelters.
It's amazing to me that when we have a problem like Ukraine, we open our doors immediately to refugees because we can see the need, but we don't see the need south of the border in places like Venezuela.
Because they're coming from Mexico, Jay. I'm saying that, not you. Yeah. Because they're coming from Mexico, and having worked on the border for a year and growing up in Arizona, there is definitely a stigma that we have got to set aside and get over, that if you're coming from Mexico, you don't count. And if we were flying them in via Ukraine, we would probably have a much different perspective.
I agree. Yep.
But you also have to remember, I mean, I saw a recent Gallup poll, maybe a few years old, that said 900 million people in the world want to immigrate, want to migrate to a different place, and 200 million want to come to the United States. It's impractical. At some point, we can't just open the borders and let everybody in. And that's not to say that there isn't change that is needed, but opening up the borders and letting everybody that wants to in is not a solution either. So, Jay Evenson, thank you for joining us from the Deseret News, opinion columnist. You can read his stuff on Deseret.com.
Thanks, Jay.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen at home on any smart speaker and in your car at 102.7 FM. This is KSL News Radio, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top story this hour. A man was convicted of murder, several other charges this week for his role in a deadly shooting back in March of 2021. The Salt Lake County District Attorney says Jonathan Montreal Johnson was responsible for the death of Alonzo Garcia Mendoza. The shooting happened in a church parking lot in Kearns. 2 other victims were wounded in that case. A new study suggests genetics plays a role in whether people attempt suicide. The study was done in partnership with the Huntsman Mental Health Institute, identifies 12 inherited biological factors that are associated with the risk of attempting suicide. A professor of psychiatry, Anna Doherty, says this study will help propel future research.
This is giving us a lot of new information about what is underlying risk that we didn't know before.
She says these results will help clinicians understand what they're looking for in high-risk patients to treat them more effectively. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Biden administration officials say the United States can only support Ukraine on the battlefield for a couple of months or so unless new funding is approved by Congress. Speaking to reporters on Capitol Hill, Republican Senator Marco Rubio of Florida says the United States needs to continue that support.
The important thing we have to ask ourselves is, okay, where are we 18 months from now? Where are we 12 months from now? And I don't know if you can get an answer to that question and fund it.
On the House side, though, legislative business is at a standstill after Speaker Kevin McCarthy was voted out of his position yesterday. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day, just 62 points. The NASDAQ is up 129. And our KSL weather, looks like the sun will come out again this afternoon and tomorrow. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright here with another experiment you can try at home regarding water. You can take 4 bags of water softener salt, lift 3 of the bags with one hand and 1 bag with your other hand. Yeah, I know. Now, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that 3 bags of salt weigh about 3 times as much as the 1 bag of salt. And that's an important thing to bear in mind when you're shopping for a water softener. You see, in our home, we have Connecticut, and the Connecticut water softeners are so well designed, they use only 1 bag of salt for every 3 bags that other water softeners use. Now, I can speak to this because we have had a Connecticut soft water system now in 2 different homes, and I'm not a fan of lifting those bags of salt. This is just one of the many reasons you really should look into Connecticut. Their number is 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
Does your company offer health insurance to your employees? If so, how do you know if you're getting the best deal on employee benefits? Did you know that a benefit broker makes more money when you spend more? Brokers are not only incentivized to steer you to more expensive insurance plans, but the more quotes they get, the harder they have to work and the less money they make. My name is Keith with Magellan and Linden. We're a different kind of benefits broker that offers a best plan, best price guarantee. We get insurance quotes from every insurance company every year. It forces insurance companies to compete for your business and offer the best deal possible. Here's what you do. Visit shopmyplan.com. We'll get you free quotes with no strings attached. If you like what you see, let's work together, and you'll get the best plan at the best price. If your benefits broker isn't getting quotes from every insurance company every year, you're probably paying too much. So visit shopmyplan.com today to get the best deal on employee health insurance. Go to shopmyplan.com today.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crews have been working on a small accident, and it's in the final cleanup stages. This is on the on-ramp westbound I-215 South Belt at about 20th East Highland Drive. It had been blocking a right lane of traffic. They're opening that up now. Do you want a heating and air company which uses third-party verification over their work? One that's the highest rated on both Google and Yelp? Then call At Your Service Pros, 801 Your Pro. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy today with a high of 64, then sunny and warmer through the rest of the week. 55 degrees and partly cloudy right now. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic.
2 words, climate change. There's a reason we don't talk about it much on this show. Don't touch that dial, because this is going in a fabulous direction you're going to want to listen to. So for the next hour, it's going to be a special hour on electric vehicles, the pros, the cons, and Dave's dilemma.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here, Deb. I just bought an electric vehicle, an EV, and I've been bragging to everybody about it because I'm saving so much money on gas. Every time you put in that $4.30 a gallon gas, I just like doing a little dance over here, me and my EV.
You feel better?
It feels so good.
Good.
Well, I'm bragging to everybody I know. And then I realize, kind of this aha moment, I'm a tree hugger. I didn't even know it.
That is what is so wild about this is Dave will bristle, and he'll flex his muscles. You know, when we do talk about climate change, especially in the newsroom, he's like, I don't do anything to save Mother Earth. I do it because it benefits me.
And
so as I went over the list of things that he does, like he rides public transit. We look around and it's like, Dave's the only one in the group that regularly rides public transit. Dave refuses to take plastic bags from his local Smith's grocery store. He carries everything under his big, muscly arms to the car. And Dave was the first one through the wall to buy an EV. And I said, dude, you love the environment.
Yeah.
You are the quintessential tree hugger in denial.
Yeah, I call myself the accidental tree hugger.
There you go.
I didn't realize what was happening, but I have very good reasons of why I quote unquote become so green, and it has nothing to do with the climate. And I think what's happening here is there's people that are absolutely pro-environment all the time. That's just in their DNA. And if you're wondering how to win over people that are not climate change fanatics, I'm going to lay out how you do it. How do you convince people like me to become a tree hugger?
Oh, well, take it away.
Okay. Number
Don't
one.
let me get in your way.
Number
Tree
one,
hugger.
I think people would. Climate change, for people that don't really care about climate change like me, most people do. Pew Research just did some great research on this. 37% of Americans think that climate change should be a top priority for the president and Congress.
Okay.
And then another third think it's still a priority, even though maybe not a top priority. So 2/3 of America is like, absolutely, we should be concerned about about climate change. So how do you get there? Okay. And this is how you get the conservatives on board. Number one, John Curtis has been a great proponent, advocate in regards to the environment. He created what's called the Conservative Climate Caucus, and this is why he did it.
About a conservative approach to how we have a better energy policy, one that is good for our economy, but also reduces emissions from a conservative perspective.
For far too long, conservatives have abdicated any voice at the table just because, quote unquote, climate deniers. And what John Curtis wanted to do is say, listen, there's a way to do this. There's a conservative approach to climate change. This is how you win over the conservatives that maybe don't have this as a top priority. And I'll tell you, here are the 3 rules. I've got 3 rules.
All right.
Okay. Number 1, sell it. Don't try to guilt trip me into it. So don't make me feel terrible. Like, oh, you hate Mother Earth.
And that's what they do.
Which
right?
is.
And I've done that to you.
Absolutely.
I've done that to you.
Yeah.
No apologies, but I'll try to be better in the future. So what do you mean by sell it? Let's just stop there.
Okay.
And analyze this. Let me pick your brain. When you say sell it, if I say you should take public transit because it's the green thing to do, and you're saving the environment for your children, that's not really selling it. That's kind of bullying you into using it. But selling it would be, hey, how about if we let you try a free pass on Trax or Front Runner for a week or so? See how you like it. See how it fits into your life. And then as a benefit to that, also let us know how much gas you saved.
Yeah.
And money you saved not filling up your tank that week.
Public transit hasn't saved me a ton of money, but this is why I do it. It saved me a little money. It's not primarily the reason I do it. I love being able to relax on my commute in.
Okay.
I watch movies. I catch up on work.
So give you a
traffic.
Give you a free week of movies on Front Runner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not fighting weather. When
Right.
you guys are all plowing through this
horrible.
epic
I'm with
snowstorm,
you.
I jumped on the train. I'm in. It was easy. So you can sell it to me in a way that speaks to me.
That makes you think it's your idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
now it
what's
just
your-
sounds like you're trying to manipulate me.
No.
No, I genuinely
it's-
enjoy the
That's
experience.
what marketing is, Dave.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the manipulation to make you believe that you need something you don't necessarily need. Okay. Rule number 2. What's your second rule?
Speak to my wallet.
Oh, how do we do that?
Speak to my wallet. So I buy an EV almost exclusively. You know what? I will say this. I will no longer equivocate. I bought it exclusively to save money. I'm paying over $300, at least $300 a month on gas, driving my gas combustion engine. Well over $300. So I started thinking, okay, does the math work? Does it make more sense to buy an EV? So I start tracking how many miles I drive, how much money I spend. Let me give you an idea. Just in the 7 days, I've owned my car for 7 days, my electric vehicle for 7 days. So I've tracked all of my driving around. I've saved 22 gallons of gas in 7 days. That is $96 in 1 week.
That you've saved not fueling your gas guzzler.
Exactly.
Hopefully you traded that bad boy in.
I'm trying to sell it. If anyone wants a gas guzzler, I got one real cheap.
You have done the math, and
Yeah.
you have in a week's time, you've saved almost $100.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
spread that
incredible.
over a month. That's $400. Debbie, just in gas savings. Gas savings alone is more than paying for my loan, my car loan. More than paying for my car loan. So I'm actually saving money driving a new electric vehicle.
It is so cute.
Stop calling it cute. It's burly. It's amazing.
I'm going to ask you later about range anxiety, but we'll get to that later because now we got to get to rule 3. What is your
By the way,
third rule?
that's a real thing.
Okay. I want to hear. Okay, I gotta
Right
write
out
this
of the
down.
gate.
Don't forget to ask
Range,
Dave about range anxiety.
It's
okay.
not all like unicorns and rainbows.
We're talking about EVs and in the context of climate change, but we're focusing on EVs over the next hour, and we've got lots of content to deliver and roll out to you. And we're doing this mainly because Dave bought an EV, and he is the first one through the wall on our team. I was talked about buying EVs, but we never do, but Dave did. And he's saying, like, hey, here's how you make me become the accidental tree hugger without realizing that I'm actually turning green. So rule number 3 is...
make it easier. Just make it all easier for me. Rule number 1, sell it. Number 2, speak to my wallet. Number 3, make it easier. And that's something that is happening right now with electric vehicles. For example, you may have heard about this rebate. The federal government has a rebate available.
Several $1,000s.
Well, it's $7,500 for a new vehicle.
Wow.
And then for a used vehicle, I didn't realize that there was a used vehicle component to this as well. But it's $4,000 for a used vehicle. But Debbie, so help me, who qualifies is a nightmare. It is only EVs that are built here in America with so many American parts. I was looking at one brand that I've been very happy with over the years. They do not qualify. Even though they had an electric vehicle, they did not qualify. So I just threw them right out. And I actually narrowed it down to a very, very select few of vehicles that actually qualified for this rebate. So if you want to get me involved, if you want to incentivize me to go green, to buy an electric vehicle, you can't make it pulling teeth to get it to happen. And that's very much what it is right now. Fortunately, I found a vehicle that qualified, a vehicle that I liked, but there was like one. There's a handful of vehicles that were actually qualifying for this credit. So you have to make it easier. If you're going to incentivize something, if you want to incentivize green, if you want to incentivize electric vehicles, then take off some of these shackles and these ropes that are holding down the program. And that is something that the Biden administration has done. They have shrunk the amount of people and the cars that qualify, the income of people that qualify for these cars. If you want us to drive EV, you gotta simplify.
Well, and it's not all roses and rainbows, right?
No.
There's a hidden toll.
Yeah.
To EVs and the production of EVs. Let's talk about that next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
How many Utahns think this guy is the hero?
Chaos is Speaker McCarthy.
Florida Representative Matt Gaetz leads a rebellion that tosses the Speaker of the House and raises a little money.
And all of a sudden, my phone keeps sending text messages saying, hey, give me money.
The answer?
This is all politics, all power and positioning. We're not seeing anybody govern.
Get updates all day Wednesday. Then get analysis with Boyd Matheson from 1 to 3. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
It's the Fall Football Classic that set the world on its side. A wishbone defense and a Brown Omega-3 offense. The Oakdale Egg Farm Showdown, like you've never seen it before. Both teams in pursuit of gridiron glory. It was 4th and goal. History was made when Omega-3 took the field.
Hey, come on, wake up. Your omelet is ready.
Huh? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Use Oakdale's cage-free eggs for your winning team. No hormones or antibiotics are ever added, and they're high in protein. Oakdale.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Breaking news, President Biden is speaking right now. He's talking about the $9 billion of student debt relief that he just announced, but he's also talking about Speaker McCarthy being ousted.
Because while college degree is still the ticket to a better life, that ticket has become excessively expensive. Americans who are saddled with unsustainable debt in exchange for a college degree.
It seems like we just missed it. President Biden was talking
significant action to provide
about Speaker McCarthy and how he was voted out as Speaker of the House. So President Biden now is talking about an additional $9 billion that he is going to relieve in student loan debt. But yeah, President Biden, as he was talking about Speaker McCarthy, said he's convinced that Democrats and Republicans are united in finding a way forward and getting a new speaker appointed.
Hallelujah! Jump on your brooms and fly to Logan for fantastic fall festivities. Bright-colored leaves are popping right before your eyes, and you can celebrate harvest season in style. October 13th and 14th, step back in time at the American West Heritage Center for their annual Fall Harvest Festival. It's so impressive to see the massive 1911 steam engine. It powers a vintage grain thresher and one of only a few left in the entire United States. The farmers throw in bundles of grain with pitchforks, and the thresher spits out a huge pile of straw. They've got pony rides and train rides, cider pressing, games, corn shelling, and all sorts of fun. Dive into a month full of hocus pocus and creepy crawly hair-raising hauntings. Get your scream on all month long for the terrors of the 10th West Scare House, spooky encounters on the historic downtown Logan Ghost Tour, or traipsing through 2 giant corn mazes. Or check out live theater and music performances, golf, or football games. Fall in love with fall in Logan. ExploreLogan.com.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Join KSL for a special movie show broadcast with Andy and Steve this Friday from 9 to noon. Brought to you by Tecton Design.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man accused in the shooting death of another man in Kearns 2 years ago has now been convicted of murder. Second, a new study shows genetic factors we hadn't considered before may increase the risk of suicide. Third, business in the House has ground to a halt, but the Senate's still trying to get work done, like funding aid for Ukraine. Right now, 55 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Following breaking news that President Biden now speaking about canceling $9 billion in student loan debt, I just want to take a quick second here, Dave. I know we took the president's announcement live. In fact, he's still speaking. Can we dip back into that announcement right now?
After you pay for necessities like housing, food, and other necessities, you can sign up for the SAVE plan at studentaid.gov/save.
The president laying out this $9 billion in forgiveness, and it's also laid out in numbers and in dollars and cents on the Department of Education website. This will impact 4,000 Utahns to the tune of $281 million in student loan debt relief. And this announcement, and let me just break down some more numbers from you. I'm trying to do the math real quick, Dave. They're announcing $5.2 billion in debt relief for 53,000 borrowers under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and nearly $2.8 billion in debt relief for 51,000 borrowers through the fixed income-driven repayment plans. There's some nuances here, but this is a massive step in relieving more debt in student loans.
Yeah, and this is something that the administration has been trying to work through ever since the Supreme Court of the United States tanked his original plan. His original plan was to forgive somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 of student loan unilaterally across the board, $10,000 to $20,000. And the Supreme Court said, no, you cannot do this. If you want to forgive that kind of loan, you're going to have to work through Congress. Congress is going to have to pass that law. What he is doing here is more rule changes. So there are some rules about paying back federal loans, and he can change the parameters of those loans and those rules and the payback process in a way that doesn't require executive order, doesn't require Congress to step in. And that's how he is getting rid of billions of dollars of student loan debt.
With these 4,000 Utahns who are now impacted by this announcement today, our team of reporters and producers in the newsroom working to find out more information about how this program is going to work going forward. We'll, of course, bring you more in just a bit right here at KSL News Radio. President Biden also has been trying to supercharge EV sales, electric vehicle sales. He has a plan in place to have 66% of new passenger cars electric by 2032. It sounds lofty to me.
Yeah, 9 years, 2/3.
But we do know, and this is according to the New York Times, it's probably also according to my 8th grade science teacher, that cars are the single largest source of greenhouse gases. Biden's plan worked on my co-host, Dave Noriega. I was just delighted to walk up the parking ramp and bump into Dave driving his new EV.
You couldn't even hear me. I was so stealthy.
He pulls around the corner, and I see this car coming at me, kind of like a bigger version of your tiny smart car. And he rolls down the passenger side window, and I kind of try to lean in, and I said, this car is cute.
Exactly what I was going for. Adorable, cute, sweet.
But there's this hidden toll of electric vehicles that we don't talk enough about. Yeah. So I'm curious how, first of all, let's start with here. How did the president win you over?
You know what? I'm not certain that, well, okay, there's a couple things. I don't want to give him a lot of credit, but I guess I kind of have to because it definitely played into it. There was a rebate. There was a $4,000 rebate that I qualified for to buy a used electric vehicle. And that definitely played into my calculus,
so money
the math.
Talks.
Absolutely.
Money talks. Okay.
So the incentive definitely played into it. The gas savings was something that has been incredible. I guess we can thank Biden for high gas prices. So there you go. You wanted me over there. You got me to pay high gas prices, so I revolted and went EV. But some of these things are short-term incentives. I don't think rebates are going to be around forever. They're not always going to be available. So anyway, that's
okay.
Kind of what led me to buying an EV.
So through your research, you can't ignore this Washington Post articles. They did this 3-part series on the hidden toll of electric cars. What did you find? What stood out to you?
There were 3 things that they focused on. Number 1, mining. And this is something that has come out in the last year or so. The incredible abuses that are happening in the mining industry. With electric vehicles, obviously these batteries have to be produced in mass. And right now they're only about 5 to 10% of the market. There's not many out there. Well, if it's going to go up to 2/3, then we need massive amounts of materials and mining, rare earth materials, to be able to build enough batteries for these electric vehicles. But these mines are not in America. They're in Africa. They're in the Middle East. They are in China. They're in Russia. They're not in America. And the way the workers are treated, the conditions, the safety of these mines is abysmal. And this is from a manganese mine worker in South Africa. And this is what he describes about the manganese dust that is just floating around.
Your nose is black inside, your teeth is black, your tongue, everything is black inside. I mean, you're covered with it.
Your nose is black.
My
your teeth are black. Your tongue is black. You're
goodness.
covered in it. And what they found is that manganese, high doses, can trigger Parkinson's. And that's what has happened to this person that they talked to, that the Washington Post had talked to.
And you're reading this article in the Washington Post, I know, as you're shopping for an EV. So there's this sense of, oh no,
well,
am I doing the right thing,
Yeah.
or am I making problems worse for the environment at the end of the day?
Well, exactly. We've learned about the cobalt mines in the Congo that uses child labor, treacherous, dangerous work conditions, people packed in like cattle, sifting through by hand to find cobalt, which is used in these batteries.
That some of these companies say, we know the cobalt industry is a mess in Africa, but we have certified cobalt, and we can assure you that our cobalt is not involved in any of that child labor and not involved in any of those other things. But, there just isn't as much certified, clean, responsibly sourced cobalt out there.
Yeah, so we need all of these materials. We're not really controlling how they're being gathered. We just like getting them. We're getting them in huge numbers. And here in America, like me, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about the children in Africa that are sifting through these dangerous mines, because I look at it and I think, oh, I can save some gas money. It's an inconvenient truth. It's a tough thing to confront, because all we're looking at is bottom line. We're thinking about greenhouse gases. We're thinking about saving the environment and the climate at the expense of humans that actually have to do the work.
Well, I don't know what to do about that.
It's a conundrum.
Well, and
we're struggling with it right now.
I'm trying to follow you through the wall and buy an EV, but now you've given me this pause, because I don't want to be the one contributing to these horrible conditions that people are working in.
And this is a problem with the clothes we wear and the shoes we wear.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a problem worldwide, but companies are struggling. They don't know what to quite do with this, because EVs already cost about $5,000 more on average than a gas guzzling car. But that is because the wages and the cost of the EVs is being held down by these deplorable conditions around the world.
I also worry about things like the battery going bad, and would I be able to even afford to replace it, and what the warranty looks like. Let's talk about that next.
It's 11:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top local story this hour. Qualtrics, a company that got its start here in Utah and currently has a headquarters in Provo, is cutting 15% of its workforce. The new owners of the company are restructuring, eliminating 780 jobs. The Deseret News reports the company's CEO, Zig Serafin, sent out word of the changes this morning. Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith helped found Qualtrics. He remains the company's biggest individual shareholder. Health issues related to wildfire smoke are up as much as 66% in some areas of the western United States. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly reports on the new data.
The U.S. and Canada had its worst wildfire season this year since 2006. That's according to the website Climate Central. They say all the smoke from the fires are causing huge increases in asthma, heart disease, and early deaths. And the amount of fine particulate pollution people are breathing in has increased 27-fold in the last decade.
The report says pollution levels from smoke are everywhere across the United States, going up, even where wildfires are not happening. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Republican Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio says he will run for Speaker of the House after yesterday's historic vote to remove fellow Republican Kevin McCarthy. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill.
Jordan walks out of what is now former Speaker Kevin McCarthy's office. It's the main speaker's office here in the Capitol. He walks out of that office. Reporters obviously swarm around him, and they begin to ask him if he's running for speaker, and his answer is yes. And then he says he's been getting texts from other Republicans over the course of last night into today, encouraging him to jump into the race.
That's ABC's Jay O'Brien. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average now into negative territory, down 34 points on the day. The NASDAQ, though, still on the positive side, up 91 points right now. And our KSL weather, the rain is done. We'll have that next. KSL News Time, 11:33.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey guys, are you over 30? Let's talk about testosterone and performance. Your testosterone can decline at an average of 1 to 2% a year after you turn 30. And Revive Men's Health have been experts at treating men with low testosterone and ED since 2011. We're the clinic guys come to when their current treatment isn't working. They have a complicated medical condition, or they're just not happy with their performance. We love what we do and the patients we care for. You can ask our patients. We did, and we have a 99% patient satisfaction rate this year. Our patients even tell us we're more affordable than their insurance deductibles and copays. Let's get to the bottom of your issues and fix them. That's what we do, and we do it really well. Book your T-check and exam today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or send us a private message at revivemenshealth.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
The country's largest used RV show is back and better than ever. Come find the biggest used RV selection in years, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. We're bringing in a massive range of used RVs from 6 locations in 3 states for this event. Shop used travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, toy haulers, and more all on site. Plus, find even more used models online at countriesrvshow.com. You'll find used RV pricing starting as low as $10,000. Along with a huge selection of used RVs, find new RVs straight from the factory already discounted for fall. Plus, all remaining 2023s are at fall show pricing. Strike the best RV deal of the season with no payments until 2024 on approved credit. Not to mention huge trade-in offers on your current RV. And check out our Hunter's Corner just in time to kick off your hunting season. We'll also have consignment RVs at private sale prices backed by dealer support. Don't miss your best chance to extend your fall camping season during the country's largest used RV show. 3 days only, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. Open daily at 10 a.m. with free admission. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
KSL has your tickets for Taylor. We're filling a megaplex theater full of Swifties, and we want you there. Listen for the keyword weekdays at 8:45, 11:45, and 3:45. Then text it to 57500 for your chance to win. Want a reminder? Text the word Taylor to 57500 and we'll alert you when the contest is about to start. Details and more chances to win at KSLNewsRadio.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
Nice and quiet on the Valley freeways. In fact, you have normal KSL travel times up and down the I-15 corridor between Ogden and Provo. No accidents to report on the freeways or our main secondaries. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy today with a high of 64. Sunny and warmer, though, through the rest of the week. And right now we're at 56 degrees, partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave bought an electric vehicle. It's a 2017?
Yep.
A 2017 Chevy Bolt. What pushed you over the edge, and are you worried about the warranty?
Okay, so a couple things here, Deb. You'll remember the Chevy Bolt is kind of infamous. It was catching on fire.
Mm-hmm.
There was a battery issue, and you'd plug it in, and it would catch on fire, and it was...
I can see what drew you to it.
There's bad news. So what Chevy did is they basically they recalled it, obviously, and then they didn't just like do a software update. They completely replaced the batteries. And once they replaced the battery in the vehicle, they put a brand new warranty on it. So it was 8 years and 100,000 miles. And mine, even though it was a 2017, I just barely got my batteries changed like 2 months ago. So I've got a brand new set of batteries in my Chevy Bolt, and I've got an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty on it. And that was an absolute game changer for me. Absolutely.
So you don't lose sleep at night, because I've heard horror stories, thanks in part to our KSL investigative unit, about warranties on these EV batteries.
Okay, well, I bought this before I heard from the KSL investigation team where they're like, things you need to know before you buy an EV. And I'm like, so help me, Sloan. I bought it yesterday. So, Sloan, I thought I'd bring you on and walk us through what you've learned about the warranties, because as far as warranties go, 8 years, 100,000 miles is impressive.
It is. It's also the law. The federal law government says, if you're going to sell an EV vehicle, you have to at least warranty it for 100,000 miles.
Hold on. It's federal law? They're not just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts?
I know that may shock you.
It absolutely shocks me.
But the federal law says, you got to have these good for 8 years, 100,000 miles, because the batteries, as you've probably experienced, are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Now, this week, you, Sloan Trigg, investigative producer for KSL 5 TV, and Matt Guphart, you teamed up. He's, of course, the investigative reporter. You teamed up for a story on a man who is having a hard time getting his battery replaced. Walk us through what happened.
He bought his EV used. It was a 2016 vehicle. He bought it in 2019. By the time the battery, he tried to start the car one morning. This is several years later. It wouldn't start. The battery was dead. It wouldn't take a charge. So he thought this would be a warranty issue because his car was less than 8 years old, and it had way less than 100,000 miles. It had 45,000 miles on it. And so he went to the automaker, and the automaker says, "No, sorry, there's no warranty on this battery because you didn't put a charger on it for in 30 days." He's like, "Well, no, I tried to start the vehicle. The first thing I was going to do is put the charger on it to make sure it wasn't the battery. And I tried several times, but it just wouldn't take a charge." And so it took us, some back and forth between us, the automaker, and Adam, our viewer, and they finally agreed to buy back his car.
Okay. I just have so many questions here. So what happened to this $100,000 or 100,000 mile, federal government backed or mandated warranty?
Yeah, and that is a mandate, but the thing is that there's lots of things that you can do that will invalidate that. One of those things, like in this case, it was not charging it within 30 days.
You mean he let the battery he didn't plug the battery in for 30 days? Is that what you mean?
Oh, he did.
Okay.
But
that was the claim.
That was his claim, but the battery had no record of it because it was dead. He couldn't get it to take a charge.
So you got to really know, like Dave has to know what the fine print says on maintaining his vehicle for this warranty not to be accidentally invalidated.
Absolutely. You got to know, one of the first things that you do is there's a lot of software updates. We do that with our phones and our computers. Sometimes we let them go. If you let a software update not update on your battery, you're going to lose that warranty.
What?
Yeah.
Where do I get the software updates?
Well, I guess
you take them into the dealership, I'd assume?
I assume. I don't know. It might be different for each vehicle.
He hasn't read your owner's manual.
I haven't read any fine print either, so
Okay.
a little casual reading after
I feel
the
like
show.
we're a cart before the horse thing here with Dave.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you plug it in? All right, there we go. Electric vehicle solved.
Give him more advice here, Sloan.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, you're going to want to make sure, that you don't do that. That, if you have a neighbor that's in distress, you try to tow your neighbor, that's going to invalidate your warranty.
If you hook up a tow rope and pull your neighbor's car out of a ditch with your bolt, it could invalidate your warranty.
Unless that bolt is specifically made for towing, you're going to probably invalidate your warranty.
Okay.
The other thing that you do if you use aftermarket parts anywhere in the electrical components or the battery, that's going to invalidate your warranty. Some people are using the battery packs in their EV vehicles to kind of power their home, kind of get a little charge for their home. If you do that, you're going to invalidate that warranty.
Sloan, you're giving me all the ideas here.
Yeah, don't do that.
You can totally do it, it's going to invalidate your warranty.
Right. Some people are very curious. They want to see what's inside the battery. Sometimes they'll open the coolant reservoir. That will invalidate your warranty. So there's a lot of things you can do that will make that warranty useless for you.
Sloan, it does sound like you want me to use the car as it is intended, which is just to drive.
Yeah, Dave, don't use it to power your home. Don't use it to cook bagels, whatever it may be. Drive it as is intended.
It also points to the importance of doing all of your research on these vehicles. And you should anyway on vehicles, but these are so new that the idea, at least to me, it would be a brand new concept buying an EV car or even a hybrid.
Yeah.
Make sure you know exactly what you're getting into so there are no surprises.
Right. And the used EV market is pretty strong right now. There's a rebate for $4,000, if you buy a used EV vehicle. You want to make sure that warranty is going to be transferable. That the previous owner didn't invalidate somehow, that they towed someone or did something that would invalidate that warranty. So the best thing you could probably do is maybe contact the automaker and find out what sort of warranty is left on that battery for that specific car, before you decide to buy it. And then you definitely want to have it tested. We talked about having a mechanic look at your vehicle before you buy it for any vehicle. You definitely want to have that battery tested, make sure what sort of life is left on it. Because EV batteries, they degrade over time, just like a cell phone battery. You're going to lose a little percentage of capacity each year that you have that vehicle, and at some point, the battery will die.
I also learned that $4,000 for a used EV can only be redeemed through the dealership. So private parties selling, you won't qualify for it.
That's good to know.
Do you have a general range? Did you and Matt Gephardt figure there's some sort of general range for the cost to replace one of these batteries?
The cost to replace for the battery itself and the labor on most vehicles is going to range from anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. Now, in our viewer's case, that battery would cost him $30,000 to replace. There are other vehicles that are about that amount as well.
Is that more expensive than the car he bought?
Yeah, his car, I think he paid $9,000. So his car was worth a third of what the battery would have cost him to replace it on his own.
Sloan Schrag, producer.
That's good information.
For the investigative team at KSL5, works alongside Matt Gephardt, who's the investigative reporter. You can find their full report at ksltv.com. Dave, you've learned a lot.
Yeah, no, I feel a little better because I'm not using it in any of the crazy ways that you just listed, Sloan. I'm just driving from point A to point B and I'm plugging it in. But no, this is great advice. Thank you. Again, ksltv.com.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Dave, you know what that sound means. It's time for tickets for Taylor.
Taylor who? Oh, Taylor Swift. You a big Swiftie?
I've become one, yeah.
Yeah, I got a playlist as well. Yeah, we're giving away tickets to private KSL screening of the Taylor Swift's Eras Tour movie.
So if you want to be our 11:45 winner, I just call it the Dave and Dujanovic winner, the winners. Just pull out your phone right now and text this keyword to 57500. Okay, you ready? It's not a hard one this time. The keyword is stay. STAY to 57500.
And also make sure you tune in to Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news at 3:45 For your next chance to win, we're giving away keywords 3 times a day.
And shout out to our winners from yesterday. Julie won for 8:45. Our winner, 11:45, was Diane. Let's see. Julie lives in Lehigh. Diane lives in Pleasant Grove. And Everett lives in West Jordan. So congratulations to our winners. Stay tuned. We've got lots more tickets to give away all week long.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and I have a question for you. You know that unwelcome guest everyone wishes would just leave already? That's COVID-19. That's why I got a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants. Got it?
Learn more and schedule this season's updated COVID-19 shot at vaccines.gov.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Transform your outdated kitchen with half-price granite. Replace your entire kitchen with beautiful and affordable options with granite for only $2,500. Yeah, $2,500. Not interested in countertops? No worries. Half-price granite is now stocked with gorgeous cabinets and flooring options to choose from. You're sure to find something you love. Call 801-486-1700. 801-486-1700. Half-price granite. Online at halfpricegranite.com. Half-price granite. Affordable luxury.
Attention smart homeowners. You don't have to fall for flashy promises and companies that don't even prove their work. At Your Service Pros uses third-party verification software called MeasureQuick to ensure your new HVAC system is installed correctly. This ultimate game changer in the HVAC industry lets you, the homeowner, have proof of how your system was installed. At Your Service Pros utilizes our Bluetooth tools to upload all of your system's information into MeasureQuick. We rely on data-driven insights to properly commission, optimize, and fine-tune your HVAC system for peak performance, improving your family's comfort, lowering your utility bills, and extending the life of your HVAC system. With rebates and tax credits available totaling more than $7,500 on a dual fuel heating and cooling system, it is now more important than ever that your HVAC system be installed correctly. So call us today at 801-YOUR-PRO. That's 801-YOUR-PRO. Have the peace of mind of saving up to 50% on your new system and knowing it's installed correctly by calling 801-YOUR-PRO.
The country's largest used RV show is back and better than ever. Come find the biggest used RV selection in years, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. We're bringing in a massive range of used RVs from 6 locations in 3 states for this event. Shop used travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, toy haulers, and more all on site. Plus, find even more used models online at countriesrvshow.com. You'll find used RV pricing starting as low as $10,000. Along with a huge selection of used RVs, find new RVs straight from the factory already discounted for fall. Plus, all remaining 2023s are at fall show pricing. Strike the best RV deal of the season with no payments until 2024 on approved credit. Not to mention huge trade-in offers on your current RV. And check out our Hunter's Corner just in time to kick off your hunting season. We'll also have consignment RVs at private sale prices backed by dealer support. Don't miss your best chance to extend your fall camping season during the country's largest used RV show. 3 days only, October 5th through the 7th at the Shops at Southtown. Open daily at 10 a.m. with free admission. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For 75 years, Chevron Salt Lake Refinery has provided affordable, reliable, ever cleaner energy for Utah. Chevron Technical Manager at the Salt Lake Refinery, Linda Bachmeyer, joins us with more.
When the Chevron Salt Lake Refinery started up in 1948, it played a crucial role in Utah's history, fueling industry and growth after World War II when demand for automotive products grew rapidly. In our 75-year history, the refinery has evolved to meet Utah's changing needs. The refinery started as a simple facility making only low-octane gasoline and kerosene and has grown to a complex facility producing gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. The refinery was and still is a crucial link between Rocky Mountain crudes and the communities across the Intermountain West. At Chevron, we pride ourselves on working to solve today's biggest challenges like air quality. We invested in technology to reduce the refinery emissions by almost 90% since the 1990s. We also make Tier 3 gasoline, a lower sulfur, cleaner burning fuel that helps reduce tailpipe emissions that cause air pollution. In our 75 years of operation in Utah, we are proud of our innovations as we work towards an ever cleaner energy future.
Chevron employs nearly 400 people at the Salt Lake Refinery, with operators who keep the refinery humming 24/7. It's fuels, powered cars, industry, and human progress across Utah. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Westerners are breathing in a lot more wildfire smoke than we did just 10 years ago. Second, Qualtrics planning to lay off about 15% of its staff company-wide, including at its headquarters in Provo. And third, Congressman Jim Jordan is one of the candidates to replace Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. Right now, 56 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, President Biden is doing a great job nickel and diming his way to student loan debt forgiveness. He just made what I think is a major announcement saying that his administration has approved $9 billion more dollars in student loan forgiveness for 125,000 Americans. We're going to walk through this in just a moment.
Today, I'm announcing my administration has approved an additional $9 billion in relief for 125,000 borrowers in just the past few weeks under that program.
Now, the reason this is so important, Debbie, is because just a few months ago, the Supreme Court of the United States told Biden and the administration that his plan to forgive somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 unilaterally across the country of student loan, just wiping away $10,000 to $20,000, that was illegal. So they rolled that back and stopped. The total cost over, I think, a decade was going to be well over $500 billion. But now the Biden administration is trying to figure out a way to
change the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah. Change the rules. He's changing the rules for debt forgiveness internally, and then he's able to forgive more debt without it really being challenged, if you will.
Yeah, it kind of flies under the
Legally?
radar. And what it has to do with is the repayment of student loans. So there are some rules on these loans of when you have to pay them back and which loans can be forgiven. He's manipulating those rules and changing some of the percentages, and that's where the loan forgiveness is coming.
You just said something about the original plan was to forgive how much in total debt?
It's over $500 billion.
And everybody was like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. Yeah. Okay. So if you're keeping score, put this on your bingo card. Right now, with today's announcement, and this is on their own news release. Okay, this is the press office at the Department of Education. Biden-Harris administration announces an additional $9 billion in student debt relief. With today's announcement that brings the total approved debt cancellation by the Biden-Harris administration to $127 billion. So when I say his administration is nickel and diming their way to get loans forgiven, they're very effective at it.
Yeah.
And it's so this is impacting 3.6 million Americans. Now, if you're one of those, I can't help but be happy for you because you're going to sleep a little easier tonight. But let me run by this number in a minute. I'm going to tell you how many Utahns, Dave. In this press release, there's $5.2 billion in additional relief for 53,000 borrowers under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So I look at that $5.2 billion in debt forgiven for 53,000 borrowers, and I'm like, my gosh, my golly, how much are those loans for?
Yeah, and one of the things that is affected is there's a income repayment plan, which essentially says whatever your disposable income is, and they have they have some calculus there that it's a little confusing, but they basically say you can pay 5% or 10% of your disposable income, okay? Well, after 20 years of making consistent payments, at that 20-year mark, you can have the remainder of your loan forgiven. And what the Biden administration did from the last time I looked into this is they reduced it from 10% to 5%. Whatever that means. I don't know exactly what that means, but they cut the percentage in half so that people are getting the remainder of their loans forgiven that are eligible.
Utah this forgiveness package will forgive 4,000 loans for a total of $281 million in loan forgiveness.
Well, 4,000 people here in Utah,
Mhm.
and how much money is getting forgiven?
It says $281 million. I know. These numbers just
How
seem-
much money
balance approved
is out there? Where This
Yeah.
is from the Department of
Okay,
Education's
borrowers
website?
with processed. Okay, so maybe this is since October of 2021. So total is 4,000 Utahns, and it says balance approved for discharge in the millions. And then I'm scrolling down here, Dave. Let's see what I can come to. 281 million. 4,000. In Texas, 45,000 have had their loans forgiven. In Pennsylvania, 31,000. But you look to like Ohio, 31,000. New York, 56,000 people or loans have been forgiven. Let's get up to California here, 60,000. Arizona's 11,000. Colorado's 13,000. So this loan forgiveness program, this track he's on, is helping a lot of Americans, but it's also costing a lot. It's like 127 billion so far forgiven. 127 billion forgiven so far.
Okay, if I'm going off of your numbers that you
Right?
just gave
Isn't
me,
that scary?
4,000
Good luck.
people, $281 million
that's what it says.
is the average.
Is the
between
total.
those-
Is the total.
Yeah, it's the
forgiven.
total. So
Yeah.
the average person is getting about $70,000 forgiven.
What? We got to check into that. That is a lot of money. If your math's right and I'm giving you the right numbers, we're going to look at that tomorrow.
That is a massive number, Deb. That is an incredible number. I'm glad you found it. I hope it's right.
If not, there's always
There's a
tomorrow to come back on the air and make a big old adjustment to our numbers. But don't worry, we'll get to the right information.
Eventually.
Maria's might take us 24